when I worked at the WWF, and, you know, a lot of people seem to forget, when I started writing at the WWF, you know, which was probably about 3 years ago from this date and time, when I started writing at the WWF, Vince called me in because the last rating they did was a 1.9. That's where I started. And when I came in and the rating was a 1.9 and I started sitting in on, you know, writing sessions and talking to Vince, the one thing I started hearing everybody repeat over and over and over again was, you know, when I was throwing story ideas out there was, you can't do this, you can't do that, a babyface can't do this, a heel can't do that. Mm-hmm. That's what I was hearing over and over again. So one day I finally turned around to Vince and I said, Vince, we are writing this. We are creating this. We can do anything we want to do. From that point on, one thing we did that was a rule of thumb was anything that was traditional wrestling, anything that you kind of, you know, could call the outcome, we went the absolute other way. A match was made, and basically within the confines of that match, there was a possibility of David Arquette winning the WWF title, WCW title. Now, the fact of the matter is, there ain't no way that's ever going to happen. I mean, how can that ever happen? But guess what? It did happen. And it didn't happen as a hotshot angle. It happened for a couple of reasons. Number one, it is part of the big story. The David Arquette thing is going somewhere, and, you know, Eric and I knew that from day one. And also, number two, it got people talking about WCW, negative or positive. They were talking about WCW again, and that's what we need people to do. And number three, again, you know, nobody has mentioned this, but, you know, Monday night, okay, the night of Nitro, somebody hands me a USA Today, and there it is, right on the cover of the entertainment section, David Arquette winning the WCW title, and a plug for Nitro tonight at 8 o'clock. Well, that kind of exposure would have never happened if, you know, we didn't do the scenario with David Arquette. It is part of a story, and it is part of the big picture. And I think when you know, people that have been negative about it, when they see the other side of the situation, I think they may look at it, you know, a little bit differently. And that's what people are not, you know, right away people think that, you know, it was a hotshot type of thing. It's not. I mean, believe me, with the pay-per-view this Sunday and, you know, Nitro the following night, it is a big piece of the WCW storyline. Eric and I mean, you know, we've both put some time into this business. I mean, whether you like us or don't like us is fine, but I think we know what we're doing. And, you know, if we put the title on a David Arquette, okay, it's obviously going somewhere. It's obviously part of a story that's going to make sense in the big picture. Before Eric and I came back, WCW was dragged through the mud. Yeah. There were a lot of people I really cared about in that company. I'm talking about the boys now. I'm talking about a lot of the boys who went to bat for me. I'm talking about a lot of the boys that followed me over from the WWF, but there are a lot of people I cared about that for 3 months they went through hell. I really feel that the reason all these guys went through hell was because there was 3 individuals whose names I won't mention that all they cared about was themselves. It was a power play. They cared about themselves. They wanted to, you know, get themselves over, even if it meant being at the expense of the company. It was them first and the company second. And because of those 3 individuals, every single guy in that locker room paid the price because their careers were almost killed. When I came back, I wanted to do so much for these guys because there were a lot of them that really went to bat for Vince Russo. I wanted to do so much I possibly could for these guys, and Eric was the one that said to me, Vince, you know, you got to go on TV. You know, it's a part of the story. You've got to go on television. And then, you know, it basically just dawned on me, you know what? If Ric Flair can take Vince Russo and put Vince Russo through a table, and that is going to help WCW's ratings, or if that is going to help Ric Flair, or if that is going to help the company in any way, then I'm going to do it. I mean, and that's basically what it came down to, that, you know, I've made the decision. I am going to do whatever I have to do and whatever it takes to make this company successful again. And that's when, you know, yeah, I did say that on numerous occasions, that I would never go on the other side of the camera, because I wanted to focus all my time and energy behind the scenes and make the boys the best they could be. But right now, I want the company to win so badly that, you know, pretty much if it means putting my body on the line, then I'm willing to do that. I'm starting to see signs of, you know, Vince McMahon is starting to sit up and take notice that Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo are running WCW, and things are starting to happen. And he's done a few things that have basically shown, not that he's panicking. Vince isn't panicking in any way. He's kicking our ass by so much now, there's no panic involved. But he clearly has showed us that he is going to try to nip things in the bud as quickly as he could. And as soon as I heard that that deal was made with the ECW and Taz and everything else, that showed me that, okay, Vince is now paying attention to WCW. And one thing I can tell you about Vince firsthand is, when you rattle Vince's cage and you get under Vince McMahon's skin, sometimes he has the tendency to not act rationally. Sometimes he has the tendency to do things that Vince McMahon wouldn't normally do. And he's got a temper. And sometimes he has a tendency to not think things out, but rather go in a certain direction because he's pissed off. And I want to get Vince McMahon in that mode, because when Vince McMahon is in that mode, he's not at his best. I've seen him in that mode, and I've seen him make a million mistakes. And that's the exact mode that we want to get him in right now. And that's what people don't understand right now. You know, this past week's rating was a 2.5, and maybe it was doing a 2.5 during the Kevin Sullivan regime, but the bottom line is, right now, Vince McMahon is throwing the kitchen sink at us. He's trying to put us out of the game as quickly as he possibly can. And all me and Eric are interested in right now is two things. Number one, putting on the best show we possibly can, and number two, staying in the game. So even if that rating was a 2.5, which they were doing during the Sullivan regime, the difference is it's a 2.5 with Vince McMahon throwing the kitchen sink at Bischoff and Russo in the WCW. If it was me running the network, and you've got to understand, you know, I'm going to go back to I got called in at Raw when the rating was a 1.9. Okay, I left when the rating was when the rating hit 7 at times. That's when I left. That did not happen overnight. That happened over a 2.5 year period. That's how long it took. So, I mean, I can sit here and I can tell you realistically, WCW will not get into the game, will not even be close. And by close, I mean 2 ratings points. We will not even be within 2 ratings points of WWF within the next year. I can sit here and tell you that right now. It is going to take 1 year to get into the game. It's that simple. And I mean, if the WCW management, Brad Siegel, if they don't have the patience to wait that 1 year, that's fine. I mean, they run the company. They've got to call the shots. But, I mean, I'm sitting here, a guy having been through this, having been on the other side when we were the underdogs, when we were getting our butts kicked. And, I mean, I know the fact is we're not going to get in the game for another year. And that's the fact. And, you know, I'm willing to work with that. I don't have a problem with that. But if there are some people that are impatient, then I mean, hell, they can pull the plug in another 3 months if that's what they choose to do. The first day I stepped in to WCW and I started working, it was just totally political. There was a lot of politics going on behind my back, and I'm not talking about the boys at all. My relationship with the boys from day one was terrific. I had a great relationship with them and a great rapport. I'm talking about management. And, unfortunately, I was reporting to a guy that was being influenced by all this, and that was being whitewashed, and that was literally, being worked. And, he just got worked to the point of making a real bad decision. And I was never let go. What happened was, you've got to understand something. When I came into WCW, okay, the last rating for the last show before I came in, which was the Kansas City Bret Benoit show, the rating of that show was a 2.6. I started the following week. 3 months later, okay, my last rating on the show was a 3.4. So within, and the rating in that time span, which was about 3 months, the rating was only under a 3 twice within those 3 months. So I had gone from a 2.6 to a 3.4 within a 3 month span. One day, because of the politicking, I'm called into, Bill Busch's office, and I'm told I've decided to take a change in direction. I want you to be part of a committee. We're not going to do sports entertainment anymore. We're going to do wrestling. We're not going to be concerned about the ratings anymore. We're going to be concerned in wholesome family entertainment. And I just turned around to Bill Busch, and I basically said, first of all, as far as being part of a committee, I will never, as long as I live, be an equal to a Kevin Sullivan, because creatively, Kevin Sullivan cannot shine my shoes, and that's a fact. Bob Mould, who was a personal friend of Bill Busch's and had never been in the wrestling business, I was now being asked to be his equal. Well, Bob Mould and we're not in the same galaxy. Plus the fact that I was brought in because Bill Busch knew my style of writing. He knew it was entertainment. And I was brought in for the ratings, and my contract was based on ratings. It was an incentive contract. So when Busch laid all this out to me, I just looked at him very calmly and I said, if you would have described this job to me when you hired me, I said, I would have turned it down because I'm not interested in this. I said, you've just laid out to me the plan, a plan that is going to fail, and I did not come here to fail. So I'm not interested in that. So, you need to talk to Brad Siegel or whoever, and we need to figure out how we're going to work out my contract. And that was it. And again, that was all about the politicking and the people that just, worked Bill Busch into this position that even though the rating had gone from a 2.6 to a 3.4 in less than 3 months, he had to make a change in direction. Well, they made that change over the next 3 months, and that is currently the hole that we are trying to dig ourselves out of. This week, on Sunday night, let's start on Sunday night at 8 o'clock at night, I met Vampiro and Sting in a graveyard. And we were in that graveyard till 3 o'clock in the morning. I had to get up probably at about 5:30 to leave for Nitro. And I had also an interesting, situation going to this Nitro. As a matter of fact, it was the first time I rode with Eric Bischoff driving the plane, which was an experience, which I was scared to death, to be honest with you, but I wanted to show Eric how much I trusted him, so I went up. Okay. And so Eric actually flew us to Nitro. But, basically what happens is, so you're basically up at the crack of dawn, you're traveling, you get to the building. Usually at 12 o'clock, there's a production meeting. That's where you have, everybody in the production crew, the producers, the directors, the agents to the matches, the referees, the announcers. Everybody is there that needs what's going on in the show. At that point, we go through Nitro from A to Z. Every nook and cranny, we explain everything in detail. That usually takes about an hour. So basically, we're usually done with that at about 1 o'clock. Then from there at 1 o'clock, we break out, and that's when we basically get together with the individual talents, and we let them know, okay, this is the story, this is what's going on tonight. We give them the verbiage that they're going to need. We talk about the angles and the storylines with them, see if they want to tweak anything, see if there's anything that they can do better. And basically, that whole time from 1 o'clock, all the way up until showtime is just, it's preparation for the show, and it's going over the details again and again and again, and the interviews again and again and again. And, do we want to change this? Do we want to change that? And it's just really, really fine-tuning the show. And then, basically we go all night. What I usually do when the show is over, I'll sit in the internet room, WCW Live, and I'll listen to the feedback of the fans. So I'll get immediate feedback to see what they liked and what they didn't like, to really have an idea. Then I'll get up early the next morning, because usually after Nitro happens, even though Thunder is written, something felt differently, or something went over better than you thought it would, or something bombed. So you always need to rework Thunder the following day. So, I usually get up early, rework Thunder, go to the building, have the production meeting again, and then again just, a full day of preparation. The hardest part of the job is probably not TV. It's probably when you come home. Because basically what happens is every Wednesday, Eric and I get together and, we throw ideas out at each other of what the following week's TV is going to be. And then literally on Thursday and Friday, I sit down and I put the shows on TV. I add all the bells and whistles, and that's probably the longest and most tedious part of the job of all. I was writing TV at the time. It was actually, at that time, it was me, Jim Cornette, and Vince McMahon. Okay. Vince had spent days on the phone with Bret trying to agree on a finish. Okay? What the real story is, and this is really even hard for Bret to understand, but this is the truth. At no time did we never trust Bret Hart. We trusted Bret. Vince trusted Bret. What we were afraid what was going to happen is, if we didn't get the belt off of Bret on the Survivor Series, there was the chance of him showing up on Nitro with the WWF title the following day. Now, it's not that we didn't trust Bret. We didn't trust Eric Bischoff, because Eric is a shrewd businessman. At that time, just like it is now, it was absolute war. So Bret had already made the deal with Eric. He was already going, and we wanted to get the WWF belt back, because we really felt that if our champion would have showed up on Nitro with the belt, that really would have hurt the company. I mean, that really would have made the WWF and everybody in it look bad. That was the truth. For days, Vince and Bret tried to agree on a different scenario, and they couldn't agree with anything. So finally, at Vince's house, we came up with the finish. Okay? I knew what the finish was. But I got to be honest with you, we went to the Survivor Series that day. The entire day, I did not have contact with Vince McMahon. I did not speak to him that entire day. So honestly, I literally did not know whether he was going to go through with it or not. I didn't know. I think he purposely stayed away from me that day. So I'm at the show, And I know what we discussed, but I literally did not know if it was going down and if he was going to go through with it. So, sure enough, the match is in the ring, and I'm watching on a monitor, and I'm sitting next to The Undertaker. And I see the finish, and, I said, he did it. And the rest is history. A lot of people don't know this, but probably 2 or 3 days after the Survivor Series, I had a phone conversation with Bret. Bret and I talked, and, there was really no talking to him. But I told him then, I said, Bret, I respect you. I explained to him the exact way it went down and why it went down that way. And, he could never see the other side of it. But, again, I'm telling you, as the owner of the company, Vince did what he had to do to protect his company and everybody in it. And, to this day, I still back up that decision, and that's not a slap in Bret's face. That's just we just both look at that situation completely differently. And when I came into WCW, Bret and I sat down, and that was the first thing I did. Bret and I got everything out on the table, and even that day, I said to Bret, I want to work with you. I respect you so much. We can do so much together, but we are always going to disagree on this. And that's basically the way it is, but it's never really created any heat between Bret and myself, because I've always been honest with him about it. And I'm sick and tired of reading work, shoot. The reality of the situation is, what we're doing on our show right now and what we're going to continue to do on our show right now are a lot of sophisticated storylines. And rather than insult the intelligence of the fans, we're really trying to challenge the fans, and we're really trying to make them, watch the show and get hooked on the show. And, when a 2-hour show is finished of Nitro, I want the fan to be thinking about that show, for the following day and the day after that, and I want them talking about that show on their internet. Well, what I'm trying to do is, through sophisticated storylines, challenge the wrestling fans. Because, first and foremost, I am a wrestling fan. And, again, I'm not going to sit here and take shots at the WWF, but, I will tell you that I watched the last hour of Raw this past week, and, I felt, personally, like as a wrestling fan, that my intelligence was once again insulted. They're putting on a 70s wrestling show. I've seen it a million times. I'm bored with it. I'm tired of it. How many times are we going to see Kane and The Undertaker on a pay-per-view? And all we're trying to do at WCW, and it's not only me, it's the committee, and it's the company as a whole, all we're trying to do is we're trying to bring the product to that next level. We're trying to really, give the fans something they can sink their teeth into. And, like I said, people can be positive or negative about what we're doing, but I could tell you this. On Tuesday morning, they were talking about Russo and Goldberg. They weren't talking about the 6-man main event on Raw, and that's the bottom line. 3 years ago, whatever it was, 2.5 years ago, whatever, when the incident went down in Montreal, and I told Vince McMahon, Vince, you've got to go on television and you've got to address this. And Vince went on TV with the famous, I didn't screw Bret Hart screwed Bret Hart line. Well, I tell you, man, when Vince McMahon exposed the business on that night, man, the business has really gone downhill ever since, hasn't it, Jeremy? Give me a break. Give me a break. And like I said, if people don't like the sophisticated storyline, if they can't understand the sophisticated storyline, if they don't want to be challenged, if they don't want to hop on WCW's back and take this sports entertainment to the next level, then watch Raw and watch The Undertaker and Kane for the 100th time. You can be a mindless, brainless idiot. You don't got to think about what they're doing, and just watch good, wholesome wrestling matches. If that's what you want, then don't watch our product, because I refuse to do that, because like I said, as a wrestling fan, don't insult my intelligence. And there is nobody out there right now that can tell me Vince McMahon is in more concern with the XFL, and Vince McMahon is in more concern with the fans of the WWF choosing the next president than he is about the product he's putting on television. Because quite frankly, shit. But if you want to watch it, watch it. It's that simple. That's why you've got a remote control. That's why this is the United States of America. You've got freedom to watch what you like. And, if that's what you want to watch, then watch it. It's that simple.
The measuring stick for the Monday Night Wars and for any TV program is the ratings. And I think most people that have been watching the show develop over the last several months think that they've seen improvement, but the ratings haven't reflected that yet. What is it going to take to get the ratings to move in the direction that
Bob, I met with Brad Siegel today, and there are three things, okay? And it's the same three things that took place at the WWF. And again, I'm going to take as much responsibility as the next guy, but I can't do all this on my own. I mean, there are certain things I can do. There are certain things I can't do. There are three things that need to happen at the same place. It's a magic formula. We did it at the WWF. Number one, Vince Russo came in, started writing television. The first thing that happened was the product changed. We went in a new direction. Okay, we've done that here. That's been done. Vince Russo and committee, meeting with committee, not by myself, we've changed the product. We're going in a different direction. Okay. Number two, what happened in the WWF once they changed the product was they branded that product. They went everywhere with the WWF attitude. They let people know all over, through media, through television, through radio, through newspaper advertisements, everywhere. They let people know this is a new WWF product. This isn't the old product that was drawing 1.9s. This is a new product. Try us, you'll like us. Okay? That was what they did secondly. We've not done that yet. We need to do that. Quite frankly, I don't know what we're waiting for, but we have not done that. Therefore, people who have negative opinions of WCW and are not watching our show have no reason to tune into our show and to see what we're doing right now, because they don't know the product has changed. Number three, the third thing we did at the WWF was we did a huge publicity stunt to put WWF on the map. That publicity stunt in the WWF was Mike Tyson, okay? We need that publicity stunt here. I've given ideas, and I've given very good ideas that would have everybody talking about WCW. That has not happened. That is out of Vince Russo's hands, and that is out of my control. And, again, there is only so much I can do, but we are going to draw a 2-5 every single week until the public knows that this is a new, different, exciting, and cutting-edge product. They don't know that now because we're not telling them that.
If you go back to when you started the change to the WWF attitude, same thing happened there. How concerned was the WWF when they made the jump to go in that direction about the reaction they got?
Not concerned at all. Not concerned at all. And, again, Bob, I hate to talk about the ratings for forever, but, when we were in the WWF, it took 1 year to go from the 2s to the 3s. It took 1 year, and it was the same story. And we stayed the course because we knew it was the right thing to do. We knew that the business was at a point that it needed to change, and if we didn't change it, we were going to be out of business. It's the same scenario here in WCW. I'm telling you, the business needs to change again, and if we don't stay ahead of the curve, and if we don't change the business, then we are going to be in trouble just like the WWF was in trouble 3 years ago. It's history repeating itself. We are doing everything we possibly could do. If we could do something different that would change the rating tomorrow night, believe me, I would be doing it. I'm a guy that climbed to the top of a cage with Ric Flair, so that kind of tells you I would do just about anything. But, you know, again, the reality of the situation is there is only so much we can do. There are certain things that WCW as a company needs to do. And until they do those things, it's going to move at a snail's pace. And that's reality. I mean, so, again, I can only control what I have control over. I can continue to sit there and advise them and tell them what they need to do. But if those things don't happen, there's nothing I can do. I mean, it's, you know, that's that. I've had many talks with Brad Siegel, and whether you want to believe it's a work or a shoot, whatever you want to believe, at this point, I really don't care. I've had run-ins with Bill Goldberg. I think Bill Goldberg is hurting this company. I think Bill Goldberg is very selfish. If I had my way, Bill Goldberg wouldn't be here. Brad Siegel sees things another way because he sees things from a business point of view that, you know, first of all, he thinks the fans like Bill Goldberg. Second of all, Bill Goldberg has a non-compete contract. I'm sorry, not non-compete. He's got a guaranteed contract, which means that we couldn't fire him unless he breached his contract. Okay? So basically what I'm going to do on Monday, for the first time in the history of this business, again, we are going to break more rules. And on live television, I am going to offer Bill Goldberg a release from WCW. Because if he signs a release to leave WCW on his own, then we will be free and clear of Bill Goldberg. If he chooses to go to the WWF and kiss Vince McMahon's ass like everybody else, then all the better. But at 8 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock, when we come on the air, I am going to call him out to that ring. I am going to have his release. If he wants to sign that release and go to greener pastures, God bless him. And you know what? He may do it on live TV. Who knows what he's going to do? But we'll see. But if you don't dig that, you can, you know, turn over to Raw. You'll probably see an angle between The Rock and Triple H, and, you know, you might enjoy that a little better. So, you know, it's up to you. I know, Bob, I know you've got that magic calculator of yours. I would love you to figure out the WWF ratings 10 months prior to Russo leaving and 10 months since he left, because those ratings are right where they were when I left. And, you know, for a guy that doesn't know anything about this wrestling business, I left the WWF 10 months ago because at that point I said the WWF had peaked. Since that day, 10 months ago, those ratings are exactly where they are the day I left. Okay? And that's why I said that rating is not going any higher. They have peaked. They are doing the same stuff over and over again, and there's only one place for them to go, and that's down. And right now, Vince McMahon should be looking at that, and he should be concerned about that, but he's not. And the reason he's not is because, as far as he's concerned, he doesn't have competition. We're not competition to him. Anything he throws out there, the fans are going to watch. He's more worried about the XFL because now he's going to overtake the NFL, and he's more worried about The Rock going to Republican committees. And I'm telling you, because I said it 10 months ago, that product has peaked. It is time now for this sports entertainment business to go to the next level. And that is where WCW is trying to take this business.
And, you know, like I said, if you don't want to go to that next level and you want to watch something that you're safe and you're comfortable with, you want to watch something that you can predict every single week, then watch the WWF. It's that simple. Vince McMahon, Mr. Attitude, now isn't backpedaling from sponsors dropping him. He isn't backpedaling from having to listen to stockholders. You bet your ass he is. So I want to know what happened to the edginess, because the show I'm looking at, I don't see any attitude. I mean, maybe the fans do. Maybe it's me. But the show I'm watching now compared to the show that I helped produce and I helped write, I want to know where the attitude is. I don't see any attitude. I see things being done safely. And you know what? I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if it's a year. I don't care if it's 2 years. I don't care if it's 3 years. That's going to catch up with him, and that's going to hurt him. But like I said, he is in the mindset right now that no matter what kind of a product they put out, the people are going to watch it. And right now, you know what? They are. But I'm telling you, they won't be.
Let's talk about Booker T as world champion right now. How do you think he's done so far? Give us your evaluation after a month.
I think he's done real well. I love having Booker T as a champion because he's the kind of guy that I want representing our company. He's the kind of guy that's going to go out in the ring and give you 150% every night. He's the kind of guy that's going to go to any PR appearance you send him to, and he's gonna be a company guy, and he's gonna talk the talk and walk the walk. And I don't care what anybody says or anybody thinks. Quite frankly, it was a move that should have happened a long time ago, and it was probably one of the best moves I've made since I've been in this business.
I know in the past there have been some opportunities where the WWF was going to be in a weakened position or not in their normal time slot, and for various reasons we haven't been able to take advantage of those chances. I think the last real big one came at a time when you had just left and had hoped to take advantage of it.
Yep.
We're coming up on another chance when they move to TNN. Are you looking at anything for that week now to kind of build towards throwing everything into the possibility of having a bigger audience that night?
Yeah, no, you're right on that. I mean, we definitely have to do that. I mean, I hope I'm around for that show, to be honest with you, but there's no question that we'd have to really stock that show from beginning to end, and build some things towards that show to take advantage of again having a bigger audience. I mean, I had big plans for like you said, the last time we were unopposed, I think because of the dog show, but unfortunately that was one of the weeks I was sitting at home watching Sigmund and the Sea Monsters with my daughter. So
you have that on DVD?
Yes, I do. Jeremy, I'm going to be honest with you. 10 months that I've been in this company has been 10 years to me. It really has. And I can tell you confidently that it has literally taken years off my life. There is no question about that. But I would never quit. I would never walk away. I signed a commitment. I know what we need to do. I will never stop chasing that dream and chasing that vision. I've got less than 14 months left on my contract now, and when those 14 months are finished, I will be as far away from this business as I can possibly get for the rest of my life, and that is a promise. Jeremy, you and I have talked about this a lot of times. This is an ugly business. It's a nasty business. It's a backstabbing business. It's a dirty business. It's not a nice business. Okay, that doesn't mean I love the business. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. I owe everything I have to this business, and I'm not knocking this business. But the reality of it is, it's a mean business, and it's a dirty business. And when you're a family guy like me, and you take great pride in having a wife and 3 kids, and you're a family man, it's very difficult to function in this environment. I mean, it takes a lot out of you, and that's why I'm going to give everything I can for the time that I'm here, and I'm never going to stop chasing the dream, and I'm never going to stop trying to make WCW the best it can be. But, you know, when it's over, it's over. I mean, there's no question.
You mentioned that there's 14 months left, and when it's over, it's over. Do you, given all the pressures that have been, you know, behind the scenes, do you see yourself completing that contract?
My choice or their choice?
Either way.
My choice, yes. I want to see this thing through. And the reason why I tell you that, Bob, is because for all those guys that are out there right now working their ass off in the ring, from you, Morris, to the Misfits, to the Filthy Animals, I can sit here and name all of them all night long. For all those guys, I am going to see this thing through. I would never quit on them, no matter how difficult things got. Do I think that the company will quit on me before we achieve our goal? Yes, I do. I do not see them sticking with this plan. I do not see them keeping me for the remainder of my contract. And I'm just being honest with you. And you know what? But that's okay with me, because I know what we need to do. I know what we're doing now is right. I wouldn't do it any other way. But again, if, you know, they decide tomorrow or 2 months from now or 3 months from now that it's not working, we're going in another direction, that's fine with me. I don't have a problem with that.
Assuming we're fast forward 14 months, and assuming we have caught up in the ratings and turned things around, are you absolutely ruling out that you would stay with WCW?
Yes. I am absolutely ruling out that I will not stay with WCW, and I am absolutely positively ruling out that I would ever go back to the WWF.
So 14 months, you're done.
I am done. As a matter of fact, Bob, I think it's like 13 months and 20 days.
But who's keeping track, right?
As a matter of fact, I'll break it down. It's 60 weeks from today. How about that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Okay.
So if you guys have me on every week, I could be here for 60 more times. Look at it that way.
We may be able to get you twice some weeks.
There you go.
The character development side of things?
Yes.
What are we going to see? We're going to see, you know, how's the music coming along? How are the different things, elements of building?
Well, you know what? That's coming along good. But see, that's another thing, Jeremy. That's another thing that where this company can improve, and they need to improve, and another thing that's out of my hands. Let me give you, for example. When we're in the WWF, Sean Morley comes to me, okay? Sean Morley comes to me, I spend some time with Sean Morley, and then I get the vision in my head, okay, Sean, you are going to be Val Venus, you are going to be a porn star. That's going to be your gimmick. At that point, we take Sean Morley now, and we take Val Venus, name and character, in the WWF, we turn it over now to creative services. Creative services now gives that character a look. They give that character wardrobe. They give that character makeup if he needs it. They give that character in a ring entrance, pyro, video screen, lighting. They package that character, okay? We don't have that luxury here. See, that's just another thing that, you know, WCW is lacking at, that they need to get better at. We don't have that luxury here. There is no creative services department. So what happens is we get a guy at the power plant that's ready to go. We give him a name, we give him a gimmick, and then we throw him on television. Because he's not packaged the right way, we probably lose about 3 months. I mean, we really do that. That's a reality. The first time Val Venus went on television, they popped for him because of his vignettes. They knew who he was. We don't have that luxury here. I mean, this company is just not set up that way. So, you know, we are developing more characters at a very, very rapid pace, but, you know, without having the luxury of the machine behind it, it just takes more time. I mean, like I said, you probably take at least 3 to 6 months, you know, longer. But again, that's the cards dealt, so that's what we go with.
Well, what do you think about Kurt Angle, who is basically the exact opposite of attitude, and he's gotten over huge as a heel since he's been in there?
Well, I've been there for 10 months, and Kurt Angle is the only character that they've gotten over since I've been gone. Kurt Angle is the only character on that TV show that I had nothing to do with. So maybe Kurt Angle is so over because he's the only new character they've had in the last 10 months. That's how I look at it. I think Kurt Angle's got a good attitude. I mean, I think he's a good character. I like Kurt Angle. But again, what other characters have they developed since Vince Russo left? Kurt Angle's the only guy that I never work with. I've been gone for 10 months now. That's why he's so over. He's the newest and freshest thing that they have. And I'm not knocking the guy. He's good. He's very good at what he does. But that there haven't been too many new characters since Vince Russo's left the company.
Do you have another question, Mark?
Well, do you think that you could have conceived of a character like Angle since you?
Well, Angle was already in the makings. He was in the makings when I left. I mean, Kurt Angle was at the school, and he was just beginning to be developed, as I left. So, I mean, I knew he was there, and I knew what the plan was for him, but he didn't debut till after I left. My 14 months that I'm left here, I'm gonna work as hard as I did from day one. I mean, that's not going to go away. And, we've got 14 months to really build this thing, but I'd be lying if I told you that I didn't need help. I need help. And, the company needs to recognize that it's not all about the television writing. And that's why, I get kind of PO'd when I read, Horse Teeth Kevin Kelly on WWF Live say that Vince Russo takes all the credit for the success of the WWF. I never took all the credit for the success of the WWF. If all the pieces weren't in place, that company would have never gotten to the point that it was. It wasn't just me. It was everybody. It was every facet of the company. I never took credit for their success. Was I a part of it? Absolutely. And the same thing needs to happen here. It just can't be the writing and the committee. It needs to be the entire company. And until the entire company steps up to the plate, I mean, we're going to be drowning in a sea of mediocrity. And, that's kind of where we are right now.
Well, man, I hope they do stick with you, and I hope you know that we're all behind you out here, man.
Thanks, I appreciate that. The one thing that hurts me more than anything, and that's why I don't blame myself for the situation we're in, the one thing that hurts me more than anything is when I came in, the last show prior to me coming in was a 2-8. After 3 months, the last show I wrote was a 3-4. The gap between the WWF and us was down to 2.2 after 3 months. We were on our way. The iron was hot with me coming here. The WWF was scrambling in my absence, not knowing what to do, and we were making great strides. And, then, again, we know history. They cut my throat. And we have not been able to rebound from that point in time, which was now 7 months ago. We have still not rebounded from that. What I really, what really breaks my heart is if they would have stayed with me, and if we would have stayed in that direction, right now we would have been within one rating point of the WWF. I mean, that's the rate we were going. We've been trying to dig ourselves out of the hole ever since.
I can only go back to the last show I wrote in January before the Sullivan regime. That last show was a 3.4. The week before was a 3.1. We were so well on our way for a couple of reasons. First of all, we had totally revamped the product. We had totally revamped it. Second of all, the WWF, they were at a very vulnerable point because Vince Russo wasn't there anymore, and all of a sudden, they didn't know what to do. And we were taking advantage of that because Vince Russo was now with the other side. And, like I said, within 3 months, we'd gone from a 2-8 to a 3-4, and we were so well on our way. When they made the decision to bring in Sullivan and Bob Bold and those people, I mean, I'm telling you, we've yet to be able to recover from that. And this is the reason why. It's ironic. When the last show I did, who were the 4 individuals that I had on top of the promotion in WCW?
That would have to be the NWO.
Bret Hart, Jeff Jarrett, Rick Steiner, and Kevin Nash.
Sure.
Who do I have right now in the same exact spot? Kevin Nash, Rick Steiner, and Jeff Jarrett, and Bret would probably be there if he were healthy. So basically, we're at the same exact place that we were, 7 months ago. If we would have been able to stay the course at that point, there's no question in my mind that we wouldn't be in the 4s right now. I know we would be. But, that blow and what happened in those 3 months of, just going back to the Rasslin and no storylines and just completely going from one extreme to another and doing it for 3 months, we've still not been able to recover from that. And there's always going to be injuries in this business. Because right now I could use injuries as an excuse if I wanted to, but it's bogus. There's always going to be injuries in this business. It's part of the business. But man, and again, not to put myself over, but that was just such a terrible, terrible mistake and just such a bad call made on the part of Bill Busch that we're still trying to recover from.
Raw will be going on an hour later. We are going to be unopposed Monday night this week and Monday night next week. I know that's a big issue and it's a big deal, and it's probably going to affect the ratings in a positive light. What do you do? How do you plan to capitalize on it?
Well, I got to be honest with you, Jeremy. It's not that I'm not. Don't take this the wrong way, but I'm not going to do anything different because the bottom line is, every week when I sit down, we have our meeting on Wednesdays, our creative meeting, and tomorrow morning I will sit down and I will put Nitro on paper, and every time I write a Nitro show, I'm writing the best show I possibly can, whether we're opposed or whether we're unopposed. I mean, I'm taking the talent roster that we have right now, the storylines we have, work into the pay-per-view, and I'm writing the best show that I possibly can. And, and unfortunately, right now, again, I'm still convinced, I don't care what anybody says, that we do have a better show than Raw. It's just that, they have a huge audience. They've got people that have been watching them for a long time, and those people really aren't giving us a chance. So we're going to get that chance on Monday, and on Monday, all the wrestling fans in that audience will tune into our show, and they will see the type of show that we are putting on every week. And I think on Monday I'll have a meeting with the talent, and I'll remind them that we are unopposed, and I will remind them that it's our stage tonight, and the spotlight is on us. And, they need to go, as hard as they possibly can. They need to go at 150%. But, I'm always trying to write the best show I possibly can, so, it's not like I'm going to try to write a better show. I'm always trying to write the best show. When I went on TV a couple of weeks ago and I said I don't care about the ratings, I don't. I mean, I was very, very pleased with Monday's show. I was very happy with Monday's show, and I mean, it was nice that the ratings were up. Don't get me wrong, but I was very, very happy with Monday's show. I'm very happy with where we are right now. I'm very happy with the performances of all the talents across the board. However, right now we're in a tough spot because a lot of guys are hurt right now. We're working around a lot of injuries, and a lot of the guys are really sucking it up right now because I'll tell you right now,
Steiner's hurt, Nash is hurt, Booker is hurt, Goldberg is banged up. We've got all of our top guys hurt. I think the only one right now who's healthy may be Jeff. And, we're trying to work around all that. The guys are really sucking it up. But I don't, we're at a place right now that, I don't know what we possibly could be doing better. I thought last week was a good show. I thought for the last couple of weeks, again, my opinion, we were doing way too much wrestling. I mean, I just felt that we were. I felt like we were turning into a wrestling show again. And I felt that last week was really the good mix. We had wrestling, but we had the soap opera storyline throughout that I really think held the audience and kept the audience there for the entire show. And, that's the balance that you need to keep. And I'm going to tell you right now because it pisses me off. Okay, can I say that, Jeremy, on this show?
Absolutely.
I already did, didn't I?
You did.
Okay, it really pisses me off because right away, people are ready to compare Goldberg and Russo to McMahon and Austin. Am I correct?
It has been compared.
Okay, now first and foremost, let me say that I wrote the Austin McMahon story. Vince never wanted to go on TV. I had to talk Vince into going on TV because I knew that the angle would be hot. I wrote the story. Now let me point out a couple of things, okay? First of all, Vince McMahon's heat with Steve Austin wasn't because Steve Austin wouldn't do a job, right or wrong?
I don't remember that coming into
Okay, and it wasn't because Steve Austin was putting himself in front of the rest of the company, right or wrong?
Right.
That's my heat with Bill Goldberg. That storyline has nothing to do with McMahon and Austin. It's completely different. The fact that it's boss and employer is because, that scenario is going to happen a million times over, a boss and an employer. But my heat with Goldberg is nothing with McMahon and Austin's heat. On top of that, how many times were we introduced to Steve Austin's girlfriend?
I don't remember seeing Miss McMichael in that role.
Exactly. And I really like what we did with Goldberg last week because what we did with Goldberg on Monday night was a couple of things. Number one, we made him three-dimensional. We made him a human being. We now know that he has a girlfriend. He has a girlfriend that obviously he cares about very much. He has now, for the first time in his career, been put in a situation that is personal. It's not the cyborg mentality anymore. Scott Steiner made it personal. So now basically you've got a situation where how is Bill Goldberg going to react now that he's been put in this situation that he's never been put in before? And now you have opened up that character to so many different possibilities, and you are going to see him do so many things that you didn't even know he was capable of doing. And he's going to start Monday night. And, I would love to be a fan right now, and I would love to be sitting at home asking the question, what is Bill Goldberg going to do come Monday night based on what happened at the end of Nitro? Because, I asked myself that question a million times until we finally got the story down. But, it just really excites me that you can take that character who was very, very one-dimensional for probably 2 years, and now you can open it up, and the sky's the limit. And, some of the things that he's going to do on Monday, starting at the top of the show, I think are really going to, really going to surprise a lot of people. The last 2 weeks with me, okay, once we kind of brought me into play, and once I can kind of go out there and know exactly what buttons to push to make people hate me, and what buttons to push to make them really react to Bill. And now I think the last 2 weeks, Bill has really gotten the response that he's been looking for. I think, now his head is in the right place. And I think now he is really starting to open up a little bit more, and I think he is really starting to trust
a little bit more now that he has seen, you know, what has happened in the last couple of weeks, because I think we are definitely on the right road. And, you know, the one thing is, too, it's that one of the reasons why I really hate this business, I don't want to say that. One of the things I hate about this business, one of the things I really hate about this business is the philosophy that everything is a work, okay? I got to tell you, I thrive on the fact that Bill Goldberg and I are not friends. I thrive on the fact that Bill Goldberg doesn't like me and doesn't really trust me. I thrive on the fact that him and I are not palsy-walsy, and that I don't kiss his ass like a lot of people before me did. And the reason why I thrive on that is because when him and I are out there performing, there is a tension there, and there really is a lot of, you know, reality with the way, you know, these two individuals feel about each other on a personal basis that I keep there. And I keep it that way for a reason, because the more him and I keep our distance from one another, and the more him and I really keep each other guessing, the better that story will play out in front of the people. And, you know, and again, that story is very real, because I choose to keep it that way, because the more real it is and the more intensity there is between him and I, with one guy not really knowing what the next is going to do, the better it's going to play out in front of the people. I mean, it'd be very easy for me to be calling Bill Goldberg every night and kissing Bill Goldberg's ass and telling Bill Goldberg how great he is, like a lot of people do. I don't do that for a reason. I don't do that because in a lot of ways I don't want him to like me, because I want to get that mean son of a bitch out of him. And if he has to not like me in order for me to get that out of him, then I want him to hate my guts. And, you know, I mean, that's something that people in this business, they can't understand that. But, I just hope one day they'll be able to.
Well, it's an interesting approach to things. Does that stress you? I mean, because I think people want to buddy up to him, or somebody in your position would, because working together with him would be a lot less stressful.
The stress is what makes it good. I got to be totally honest with you. I swear to you, when we were in that ring last week and I told him to sign that release, I had to say to him 3 times during the day, now, Bill, you're not going to sign that release in the ring and leave me standing there with my hand on my you-know-what, are you? You're not going to do that to me, Bill, right? Because really, in my mind, because of the relationship I have with him, if he wanted to one-up me, he could have signed that contract and walked out of the ring. And you know what? There was that possibility in the back of my head that, you know what, he may do that. And as a matter of fact, I even had a plan in place in case he did that, because I honestly didn't know whether he was going to do that or not. Because, again, if he really wanted to one-up me, and if he really wanted to kind of play like, okay, now it's your move, if he would have signed that piece of paper and I wasn't prepared, then I would have been stuck. I had to actually prepare myself with a plan B, knowing that he might possibly sign it. And you know, people would never, ever believe that in a million years, but that's the relationship I have with him right now, and that's the way I want to keep it, because that makes it dangerous, and that makes the TV better.
Vince, one of the bright spots this past week was the first head-to-head quarter hour. We maintained a good portion of the audience, and you did some different things with the segments this Monday. What was the thinking behind that, and is that something we're going to see continue?
Yeah, I mean, I really looked at I really compared the minute-by-minutes between Nitro and Raw this past week, and, it's something I probably should have caught a long time ago and didn't. But what was happening was, we have 10 commercial breaks, and we were putting 5 in the first hour and 5 in the second hour. When I was looking closer and closer at Raw's numbers, they have 10 commercial breaks as well. However, when they were head-to-head with us from 9 to 10, they were only having 4 commercial breaks. when they were going from 10 to 11 unopposed, they had 6 commercial breaks. So what I'm saying is, when we were head-to-head with Raw from 9 to 10, we had 5 commercial breaks, they had 4 commercial breaks. That makes a huge difference. I knew in my mind that made at least 0.2 of a point difference, which is a huge difference in the ratings game. So we adjusted the show this week, and in the unopposed hour we had 6 commercial breaks, and in the opposed hour we had 4 commercial breaks, just like Raw did. And and the bottom line was it was night and day. And that's where we'll go. That's how we'll do it from here on in, and we'll just see what happens. You can never understand it unless you were in this business. But the reality of it is, when you're in this business and you put into it as much as I put into it, and you eat, sleep, and drink it, and you're stressed out of your mind 24 hours a day, the reality is you've got a shelf life. You're only going to be able to go at this pace for so long. That's the reality of it. So again, going into the situation of, how long I've been going at this and how hard I've been going at this, I've just got to be realistic with, where am I going to be 13 months from now?
How confident do you feel about this Monday going in?
I feel very confident, and again, I think if you don't tune in at 8 o'clock, and I can't stress this enough, and I get PO'd, people tune in at 8:30. Tune in at 8 o'clock. I may give you this tidbit, Jeremy. Are you going to play that up a little bit?
I am ready. You have a tidbit?
Okay. I have a little tidbit for you.
I love it.
If you tune in to Nitro, and if you watch from beginning to end, okay?
Right.
You may see a very familiar face on Nitro that we haven't seen in a very long time.
A familiar face?
Yes.
That we have not seen in a very long time.
On Nitro, yes.
This Monday.
This Monday.
Are you making a promise?
I'm making a promise, but I'm also telling you, you got to stay from beginning to end, because I'm not going to tell you when it's going to happen. And again, these people are going to learn. It's going to be like Pavlov's dog. If they don't tune in at 8 o'clock, they're going to miss something. Repeat that, Jeremy. We've got to stress
all right.
that.
If they do not tune in at 8 o'clock, they are going to miss something.
Absolutely. It's going to be the Pavlov's dog theory. We're going to get them to tune in at 8 o'clock no matter what we do. They did a much better job this week at tuning in at 8 o'clock and being there for the beginning of the show, and I am going to make sure that something special is written in at the beginning of the show, so I know that if they didn't tune in at 8 o'clock, they missed something.
I'm already starting to drool.
And then what I'm going to really do on top of that is, then I'm going to make the announcers talk about it all night. So now if you didn't tune in at 8 o'clock and you missed it, now we're going to kind of rub your faces in it, so you would have wished you tuned in at 8 o'clock. So now next week you'll have to tune in at 8 o'clock.
So I guess the bottom line is here, tune in at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, is there anything else I could say about that?
And don't stop watching.
I'll guarantee you this. If they tune in at 8 o'clock, I won't give them the opportunity, or we won't give them the opportunity to stop watching. I can guarantee you.
Bob, just so we're all clear, and we're all on the same page.
It's the Pavlov's dog.
Yes, but a face that we have not
who
seen.
has not been on Nitro in a very long time.
Yes.
And 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. I'm not saying you'll see that face at 8 o'clock. I'm saying you'll see that face between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock. And if you're not with us, and if you go someplace else, and even if it's for a minute or two, and you miss that face, and you miss that spot that the announcers are going to be talking about for years and years and years to come, it's not my fault.
Years to come.
You're not going to take responsibility.
I am not going to take responsibility, because I'm telling them right now, tune into the show at 8 o'clock, or you're going to miss something.
I'll tell you what, Vince Russo lays it on the line here on this very program.
Can I say anything else about 8 o'clock, Jeremy?
Now, you're talking about 8 p.m.
Yes.
Eastern time.
Eastern time, yes.
Okay. And the conclusion of the program will happen right around 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern time.
Yes.
What happens in between those two times
big, really big.
Big.
Really big. I think they'll probably be talking about it for years and years to come.
All right, wait, one more thing, Vince.
Go ahead.
We have Bill Banks here, who's been ominously quiet.
Is he doing the Lord's work?
He is indeed.
Bill, are you doing the Lord's work?
I'm always doing the Lord's work.
Then do the Lord's work and
Amen.
repeat what Vince Russo has just said.
Tune in at 8 o'clock. Watch till 10. You're going to see something big.
No, wait, Jeremy, we got to get the. You got to help me with this.
All right, I'm trying.
Do we have a minute or so here?
You have all the time you want.
We got to up the ante a little bit.
All right.
Okay. See, people don't understand, and especially the WCW. Let's talk to the WCW fans for a minute. They don't understand that the number we start off with at 8 o'clock really is huge in the ratings. Okay? Last week, I'm sorry, not this past Monday, not 2 days ago. Last week, we opened up with a 2.0, which is weak. Okay?
Right.
This week, we opened up with a 2.4. Much, much better. We've got to throw something out there to these people if we open up with something higher than a 2.4 this week. What can we give?
Well, you got to do something big.
We got to give them something if they can rally behind us.
Mm-hmm.
If all the fans of WCW can rally behind us, if they can tell their friends and their friends tell a friend, and we open up with higher than a 2.4, and everybody waiting on the computer, and they go into onewrestling.com on Tuesday to see if they beat the 2.4. What can we give to these individuals if that happens? Let me put it to you this way. The following week, I'll have a live mic on live television. What can I do to acknowledge those fans?
You can thank the fans of WCW Live for making it all possible.
You know what, Vince? That would be big.
Okay. Then that's what I'll do.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
You on Nitro.
I will personally thank the fans of WCW for their support.
Fans of WCW Live.
Fans of WCW Live for their support, personally.
That's big. Bob?
Very big. Let's do it.
Bob, what is the chat room saying about that? I'm sure they're...
They'll be saying something in about 2 minutes.
Oh, we're on the delay there, yes. Oh, that's right. Well, Vince, I'll tell you what, you have me sold on this.
Okay.
I will do it to steal it.
This is like the guy, and you know what you need to do, you and Bob, after the show now?
What do we need to do?
You remember the movie Network? The guy opened up his window and everybody was screaming outside.
Bob, do you remember that?
Yep.
You got to do that. You got to go to the windows wherever you are, pick them up 12 o'clock at night, scream outside, Nitro, 8 o'clock Monday night.
All right, so just to lay down the rules.
Okay.
2-4 this last week.
Right.
We need to beat that 2-4
Yes.
in the first segment.
Yes.
Of course, the chat room is just now coming up with a really good idea on what we could do.
Yeah, hey, give it to me, baby. I'm all ears.
They're saying that you could have David Flair shave Jeremy Borash's hair on Nitro.
Jeremy?
I will do it.
You will do it.
I will do it.
You will do it.
Wait, what have I just agreed to do here?
Okay, here's the deal.
Right.
If the fans of WCW Live rally and tell a friend, and that friend tells a friend, and they get their mothers and they get their fathers, do cats and dogs count?
Cats and dogs, if they've got a Nielsen box, damn right they do.
Okay, cats and dogs, and they beat that 2-4 at 8 o'clock, even if it's a 2-5, okay? Jeremy Borash will volunteer for the good of the company to have David Flair shave his head next week live on Nitro.
Bob, why don't you just shut your damn mouth?
Jeremy, are you taking one for the team?
I liked your idea better, Vince.
No, Bob.
Jeremy, you don't have much hair to begin with.
All right, Vince, I want you to know one thing.
Okay.
All right? I love my hair.
Okay.
I've got a new hairstyle, and the gals seem to like it. Okay? It's taken me 10 damn years to get finally a hairstyle that people like, all right?
I'm thinking the personal thank you from Vince to the fans is sufficient.
No, go ahead, Jeremy. Finish.
If it means that for this company I risk my social life and put it aside.
Okay.
Because God knows, and Bob, don't say anything here, but gals don't really like the bald guys, okay? And Bill Banks, it goes for you, too. And Bob, I'm throwing this one at you for that shot.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, wait a minute, Jeremy. Let me correct that. Gals don't like the naturally bald guys.
Okay.
Shaving the head, that's a whole different thing.
How in the... You're serious about this?
Say it. Say it, Jeremy.
I will let...
What's shaving your ass?
No. Jeremy, say it. Shut up, everybody. Jeremy, say it.
You realize it's been a long time till this hair looks...
It grows, Jeremy, it grows back. I guess you know what?
No.
Maybe it's asking too much. Maybe you really don't give a damn about the company.
No, Vince, hang on.
Maybe you don't give a damn about the...
Hey.
Maybe you're working the fans.
This just in.
Wait a minute.
This just in. The chat room is rebelling against it. They don't want Jeremy to lose his hair.
Now, for two things. I love my hair. But, Vince, and you called me on this, but...
Wait a minute. Can we go back one step?
Go ahead.
Okay, I hear you about being shaved clean. Okay? David Flair gets to shave WCW.com in your hair.
Well, that's promotion.
Right.
Well, I can't argue with that. Okay, you got it. I'll do it.
Say it.
If we get
Lay it all out to
right,
the fans.
This is for the record, and Bob, you're legal witness to this.
You've got thousands of witnesses.
Jeremy, you can wear a hat. Go ahead, say it.
If we beat the 2-4 in the first segment this Monday,
right,
for our listeners, and as a treat for our listeners, I will let David Flair shave my head next Monday on Nitro.
Live in the middle of the ring.
Oh, damn, come on.
Live in the middle of the ring.
All right, live in the middle of the ring.
Okay, that's it. There's your headline for OneWrestling.com tomorrow there, Bob.
All righty.
There's your headline right there.
Don't use headline. That's not a good word here. This hairline.
It's going to be a retreating hairline.
Too much like hairline.
Oh, baby, I can't wait for this.
Vince,
I'll get you a nice hat. I'll buy you a nice hat.
Yeah, I got your hat.
I'll buy you a nice hat.
All right, very good.
Jeremy, I'm going to do this for you. Listen to me now.
Okay.
Okay, this is what I'm going to do for you.
All right.
If we beat the 2-4, and I'm confident that we will be, okay?
Right.
And you go out there on national TV,
right,
and you shave your head, okay? You take one for the team,
right,
okay? The following week on Nitro, okay?
Right.
I will make you, Jeremy Borash, okay?
Right.
A guest commentator for one of for the match of your choice on Nitro.
No.
Yes.
That's been my dream.
Yes.
Wow.
And let me go one step further. We have 3 seats there. Jeremy Borash gets to take one of the seats during one of the matches. Jeremy Borash gets to decide which announcer gets the boot for that match.
Wow.
Okay? That's how I will return the favor.
All right. It's going to be a bald Jeremy Borash, though.
With a hat.
With a hat?
Yeah, with a nice WCW hat.
Vince, I can't argue with that.
And the following week, you call the match of your choice, and you get to bump whatever announcer you want.
Whatever match I want.
Whatever match, and you get to bump whatever announcer you want.
Whatever announcer.
Yes.
Bob, what is your take on this?
I think we should skip the hair shaving and just go straight to the announcer.
No, it's got to be one hand's got to wash the other here.
Hey, we're getting you these ratings.
All right, Vince.
We got a deal.
All right. Let's do a telephone handshake on it. Shake.
Okay, you got it, man.
All right.
All right.
Damn.
All right, listen, Jeremy. One last thing now.
Yes, Vince.
Let this be on your head.
Thank you.
Okay.
That was very, very funny.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm laughing.
Okay.
Do we have a status report on our boss, Vinnie Ru? How is he alive? Is he breathing? Is he unconscious? Is he? Go ahead.
He is alive and breathing. I think he's a little dizzy. He's had his better days. He went into this match dizzy. He still had, I think, some lingering effects from last week's Nitro.
Vince Russo, and let's first of all, let's count down the victories. Ric Flair, Reed Flair, Terry Taylor in a booking meeting, and tonight, Vince Russo, undefeated, 4-0.
Terry Taylor in a booking meeting.
He pinned Terry Taylor in a booking meeting. It was a 60-minute Broadway, right there in the highest.
I think there's some controversy here. I think he's only 3-0 because if he pinned him in the booking meeting, it hasn't really happened until it happens on TV.
Oh, that's not true. Not when it's Vince Russo.
4-0.
Every victory counts with Vince. Hang on, wait a minute. We've got a statement from Vince Russo. Ladies and gentlemen, Vince Russo now taking the podium and his post.
Jeremy, first of all, I have to ask you to give Mark Madden your headset.
Oh, all right. Okay, yes, sir. Right away, sir.
Okay.
Now, Mark, I know you know this.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and I don't want to start any false rumors, any hearsay, any speculation.
Okay.
We all know that Scott, what's his last name again?
Hudson.
I'm a little cuckoo right now.
Hudson.
Scott Hudson had to leave the building today because, was he giving birth or his wife? His wife was about to give birth.
It was one or the other. It wasn't really
Okay.
clarified for me, as you know.
He left the announce booth, leaving a hole open.
Right.
Now, I know you are
Wally Pipp.
Tell the story of Wally Pipp.
Well, Wally Pipp was
Thank
the
you.
first baseman for the Yankees in the
Thank
20s.
Thank you.
And he took a day off because of a minor injury. I believe his wife gave birth to Scott Hudson, in fact.
Okay.
And what happened was a young first baseman from Columbia University, a Dutch kid named Lou Gehrig, came in the lineup.
Jeremy, would you be Dutch by any... A little Dutch?
Excuse me, yes.
Little Dutch.
Well, there you go. And then he played a record 2,130 games straight, and Wally Pipp was later, I believe, traded to the Global Wrestling Federation or something like that.
So basically, Mark, what you're telling me is you are now comparing Scott Hudson to Wally Pipp.
No, actually, that's what you led me into, pretty much, as a matter of fact. But yeah, I think it's a valid comparison.
Stranger things have happened.
Right. Now, I want to say this, too. I mean, Jeremy, this could provide for a few years of glory, but if indeed you are the next Lou Gehrig, you would then die of a terrible disease.
Well, look at the way he looks right now. It looks like he's got a terrible disease.
Right,
so it can't be that bad.
So if you are indeed the next Lou Gehrig, you know, you would die of a terrible disease, which I don't think you could blame on Mr. Russo.
Now, Mark, I hate to bring this up, but we kind of had fate on our side, and I want to let the fans in on this. First of all, one thing I want to do is I want to thank the fans for the rating and everybody giving WCW a shot last week. That's what we wanted, right, Jeremy? Now, let's give the fans here a little insight, Mark. It was written before we knew that Scott's wife was going to go down into labor.
Right.
Okay? It was written that Jeremy was going to join us for the main event.
Right, but pick an announcer to eject.
Let me finish.
I'm sorry.
It was written that Jeremy was going to have the opportunity to replace the announcer of his choice. It was his dream. Vince Russo, you might as well compare to Santa Claus at this point.
You're a dream maker.
Yeah, I make dreams happen.
Right.
But now there was going back and forth all day that Jeremy was going to be able to replace the announcer of his choice. Now, during the day, I'm taking bets, and it was an odds-on favorite, 1-1, that Mark Madden was going to be replaced by Jeremy Borash. Would you like to comment on that, please?
Yeah, well, I think that one thing that would have kept Jeremy Borash from replacing me was, A, I'm the crown jewel in the announcing team. I mean, would you, let's for example, when the U.S. got
You
involved,
say that without Tony and Scott here.
I'd say that if they were here.
Okay.
Okay, so why would Jeremy, a rookie announcer looking to make a name for himself, go out there and order the biggest weapon he could have working with him to the back? Jeremy, I did a lot for Jeremy tonight. I led him. I fed him some softballs. I helped Jeremy Borash because that's the kind of guy I am. Vince, I'm like you. You're the dream maker, but I'm an enabler.
Okay.
You make the dreams possible. I help make them come true. I help execute.
Okay, young Jeremy.
Yes.
Refer to me as either Walt or Mr. Disney from this point on.
I'd prefer Mr. Disney.
Okay. Jeremy, I'm going to put you on the hot seat here. You know what the deal was.
Yes.
You lived up to your end of the bargain like a man. I mean, but, first of all, the listeners came through.
Absolutely.
They came through.
The people.
We needed the people, and the people were there. You lived your end of the bargain. You had the noggin shaved.
Yes.
Now, Jeremy, had Scott not been called away, and you had to give one of the three announcers the heave-ho, who was leaving the announce booth? No pressure.
Vince,
and why? And why?
All right, and I thought I knew this question may be coming.
And you had to be thinking about this for a couple of days.
Absolutely, okay. And I knew this question was on the minds of our listeners.
Might I say too that my threats were almost constant.
That our threats were were there, and that many people questioned me throughout the course of the day. In fact, it came up in the production meeting today, as a matter of fact, and it was the midst of controversy. Could this be another big swerve? Could this be something we see at ringside unfold before our very eyes that would enable controversy amongst the wrestling fans, and more so amongst the internet and, of course, the play-by-play announce team? Now, the question is...
That was a very good stretch while you fixed my headset.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I'm going to give you an answer you may not be happy with.
Don't BS the listeners.
I'm not going to BS the listeners.
Okay.
Due to the delicate nature of the personalities involved and due to the delicate feelings that these men have towards their profession, I may take this one secret, the one secret that everyone wants to know, to my grave.
No.
I may take it to my grave. I may indeed die a happy man, living my dream of getting to announce a Monday Nitro and not revealing who would have gotten the old bootay out of Nitro. That may be a dream that I have fulfilled, and maybe it's the dream of listeners to find out who it was.
What does it take for us to get the answer out of you?
Pay-per-view?
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Give me a couple days to think on that. Okay, here you go, Mark.
And don't forget Mr. Russo and I plan to go in the radio business when all this is over.
I'll listen to you, King.
Which at this rate could be,
come on now,
week from Thursday, something like that?
Mark, this is Mr. Disney. We've obviously come to the conclusion by his lack of admission that it would have been you.
Right.
Okay, so now the question is, what would you have done?
I would have beat his ass right there at ringside. You like that kind of thing, right?
Right there at ringside.
Yes. I would always do what Mr. Russo asked because he is my own personal Mr. Disney as well. If Mr. Russo said to me on the headset, or if Ed Farrar or Terry Taylor said to me on the headset, Mark, Vince wants Jeremy to replace you for a segment, I would gladly do that. But if you leave it up to him,
if I leave it up to him,
right? And you would support. Now, would you, Mr. Russo, Mr. Disney, excuse me, support any action I might take?
I'd book it.
You would? Okay,
yes.
Well, there. So then, yeah, that's your answer right there.
Jeremy just admitted that he gave you a heads up that, Mark, it may have been you. Okay? I also want to throw out there now, I don't want to start anything.
All right.
I'm Walt. I make dreams come true.
Mr.
Okay?
Disney. Yep.
I don't want to start anything. I don't know if people out there in Cyberland know it or not, but, I kind of like Jeremy. I've kind of taken the role with Jeremy. I've kind of taken with Bill Banks. I've taken Jeremy under my wing. I've invited Jeremy into that inner circle. Jeremy sits in on the booking meetings. I don't know if that's out there or not, but it is now. I don't want to start anything. I don't know if there's something personal here. I don't know what the situation is. But about a month ago, I came up with this plan I had laid out on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I was so excited. I think I thought of it in the shower. I was so excited, I started singing Zippity Doo-Dah, one of my favorite tunes.
You were excited. I've never seen it like that.
The plan was, I got it. I saw the situation with you and Mean Gene. I saw the situation with you and Paula.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. I said, there it is. Money. I'm at home watching now. I wasn't at Thunder. Money. Mark Madden, the next intergender champion.
There it is.
Money, entertainment. Okay? Now, not for anything. I don't know if this goes back. I don't know what the situation is. I go to the committee and I present this. Okay? Jeremy, very, very vocal in ex-naying the idea, which has not taken place to this day because it was shot down by the committee.
Vince, you really want to go into this?
Which I still feel very strongly about.
Well, one thing Mr. Russo has always, Mr. Disney, excuse me, has always stuck by me. I agree, the intergender champion would have been big money. Big money.
Big money.
And plus, what you're giving another side of me, I'm broadcasting 1 minute.
Right.
I'm wrestling the next minute, but you know what? Jeremy Borash may have shot himself in the foot because, hey, that one segment I'm wrestling, we need an announcer, don't we?
Exactly.
But I guess now he doesn't get his turn.
Yeah,
for that,
absolutely.
does he?
He'll have a heart attack out there.
Well, that is a possibility.
What happens if one of the women beat him? All kinds of...
Oh, like any strumpet could beat me, right?
Exactly. That's what I said.
But you do agree that in any role, I am one of the crown jewels of this company.
Are you saying right now on the air to a live audience?
Yes.
That if given the title of intergender champion, you would take that title graciously?
Absolutely.
You would defend that title on a weekly basis?
Absolutely.
Any woman in the audience? Well, now I got to ask you this. Jeremy put up his hair, and he went through with it. What happens if a woman defeats you on live TV? What happens?
Well, that'd be works, right?
Shoots.
Shoots?
Yes.
Are you nuts? What if, like, Medusa shows up?
What do you tell me, you're afraid of women?
Medusa, yeah.
She's a woman.
Come on.
She's Andy Kaufman was undefeated. You can't take Andy Kaufman?
So you think I'd have no trouble?
I think you'd have no trouble.
And you're behind me.
I'm on 100%.
Wait a minute. Go ahead, Mr. Walt.
I got an idea.
I'm already a star thanks to Mr. Disney, I might add.
I think he'll go for this. Jeremy got his head shaved on live TV.
Right.
Okay? You go out there, you shoot with the women. Whoever from the audience, the first one who puts her paw up, she's in there with you.
Her paw?
Yes.
My God.
Whether it's 100 pounds, 200, 300, or 400.
Can I pick her?
Well, I think Jeremy needs to pick her.
No, I would disagree vehemently with that.
He's calling the match. He gets to pick her.
I can't agree
Whatever
with that.
sloth we choose on national TV gets to shave your chest.
My chest?
Yes.
There's no way.
Yes.
No, absolutely not.
See, now you tell me Jeremy is more of a man than you.
I would disagree.
He had his head shaved on national television.
He had his head shaved by Nitro girls backstage, not by some sloth in the middle of the ring.
So what you're saying is you'd lose. That's what you're telling me?
No, I would never lose.
You're saying you'd lose, you'd be an embarrassment to the company.
Walt,
don't book it, Walt.
Actually, I never said that at all.
Okay, so then you tell us to book it.
But I won't agree to the chest shaving.
So you're half the man Jeremy Borash is then, in other words?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's good enough for me, Jeremy. I don't know.
Wait, no, hold on. Let me Can I sleep on it? Can I have a day to consider?
You got 1 day.
Okay.
You got 1 day.
Oh, go ahead.
But what woman is going to be bigger than you? Seriously. Who's going to beat you?
See, here's what I'm worried about, to be honest. I'm worried that, like, a woman... I'm not worried about losing, Vince.
Right, of course. Oh, sorry.
This may be the best episode of this show ever, by the way.
I've got it to ease your mind. I know what you're looking for me to say.
You do, huh?
I wanted to say anything goes. I can't even say because it'll get me in so much trouble.
What's that? Go ahead, say it. Say it! No, I refuse. I overheard you and I refuse. There's some things I won't do.
Oh, wait a minute. Come on.
The next thing you know, they're bringing bananas and videotape cameras.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on now. Hold on. I have no idea what that's in reference to. That's crazy. That's, we don't want anything.
You're right. You see, now you even opened up a can of worms here. You almost did anyway.
Oh, my goodness. Well, obviously Oh, go ahead, Mark. Well,
I want to ask seriously. I seriously want to ask you a question. Are you afraid of losing on national TV to a woman?
Well, no, I'm just afraid.
Tell me the truth.
See, here's what I'm worried about.
Okay.
I'm a real good-looking guy, as you know.
Right.
Best-looking big man on TV anywhere. You agree with that, right?
Wait, let me stop you right there. You're an announcer right now.
Right.
Intergender champion.
Well, I can wear both hats.
You start beating up innocent women.
Well, no, they would ask for it.
Think of the celebrity going up. Now you're going to be on. Now we book you on talk shows. We book you on radio shows. We book you here. We book you there. Think about it.
Wow.
Jenny Jones.
Jenny Jones?
Yes.
Jenny Jones.
Are you afraid of losing? I can't believe this.
Well, I mean, see, what you're saying is the reward would be worth the risk.
What risk? How would you find a girl bigger than you?
See, but eventually...
You think Medusa could beat you?
Yes.
You do?
Yes. Her husband's bigger than me, and she beats his ass.
Oh, wow. Oh, I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little disappointed.
I'm sorry.
I don't know what to say.
Well, I feel bad.
You'll do it then.
I didn't say that. I would date tomorrow on WCW Live. I will come.
Jeremy, he's afraid of a girl beating him. I never thought it would come to this. I don't know what to say.
Well, how come I can't pick my own opponents?
It even got brought up in the meeting. What happens if Mark gets beat? And I was the one that said, it's chicks. Who's going to beat him?
Well, can I pick the opponents?
No.
Well, I know what my first opponent should be. Pamela Paulson. Oh, she nutshotted me to help me win?
I'll make you a deal. If we make Pamela, Paula, right?
Whatever, it's one of those.
If we make her your first opponent, you'll do the gimmick from there on in.
I never said I wouldn't do the gimmick.
But you're not committing to it.
I never said I wouldn't do the gimmick. I said I wouldn't necessarily have my chest hair shaved.
So you'll do the gimmick.
Vince, we've talked about this before. I always said I would do the gimmick.
Something's got to happen if you lose. Andy Kaufman's gimmick was that if he lost, he had to marry the sloth.
But wow.
You want to do that? We'll do that. You'll marry whoever beat you?
Yeah, but you know what I do? I just keep pulling Pam on top of me. She has to kick out when she was on top.
Jeremy, I don't know. I take my hat off to what you did. You took one for WCW.
You are a manipulative son of a gun, you know that?
You took one for WCW. Here, Mark's got the opportunity. Again, ratings, and he's not
interested. Ratings? Did you say ratings?
Ratings.
Wow. If I could just close on this note, it's always been my duty in life and goal in life.
Shut up!
Lead by example.
You've done a great job.
Obviously, maybe have an influence or a rub on some of my less positive.
We're wrestling 2 years and we talk the lingo like we're freaking Frank Gotch. Can I ask you a question? It's a legitimate question.
Go ahead.
You are the head writer of the show, right?
That's right.
Then why did you let other people on the creative committee talk you out of the intergender champion idea the first time around?
Because I didn't say it was dead. I said I listened to them. I didn't say it was dead. If it was dead, we wouldn't be talking about it.
Well, why can't you just overrule them? Because let's face it.
Because now if I can go back to them and tell them these are the odds, this is what Madden will do if we do the gimmick, okay, now they're listening. Now they're listening.
What if I have a heart attack?
Good TV. Be good ratings.
I gotta go.
You being blue and everything? Come on, think about it.
Did he find the thing he was looking for yesterday?
I don't know what that was.
The item that apparently they were searching for that he could possibly have with him at ringside.
Oh, here's the story. You're going to like this. So we're on our way to Roanoke. We're driving, myself and some of the creative members of the WCW management team.
Mm-hmm.
And namely Vince Russo. And we drove by.
Name dropper.
Did I mention Terry Taylor? And was it
no, you missed them.
Okay. Anyway, we're driving up from Charlotte, and there is a huge ceramic craft store on the side of the road. So we pull over.
You actually stopped to look for it.
I'm telling you the truth. We pull over. Vince Russo demands to pull over the car. Terry wanted nothing to do with it. Says, pull the car over, we're going in. So Terry stays in the car. We get out of the car.
Do we tell people what it is that they're looking for?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we
find it?
Well, we're looking for a duck.
A disco duck.
A duck for Disco Inferno.
Disco.
Right.
Right.
Disco, hence the name.
Disco.
Right. So we're looking for that. And so myself, along with Mr. Russo, enter this ceramic craft store. And keep in mind, they've got ducks, they've got geese, they've got pigeons, they've got a ceramic buffalo. We're in the South, all right?
I think the buffalo would be appropriate for disco.
Right. So we go in, and the first thing Vince Russo says is, pardon me, do you have
a disco duck?
Any rubber ducks? Do you have any do you have any plastic ducks?
I can see Vince. Pardon me.
It was absolutely.
I'm in need of a duck.
It was absolutely the most ridiculous thing I've ever been witness to.
Since the brain surgery, he's been a little off.
Yes, he has. And I quite honestly am a little concerned about him at this point. Plenty of things on the table for this Monday. You announced at the end of Thunder tonight, Cage Heat.
That's right, baby.
Nassau Coliseum.
That's right.
How you feeling about that?
I'm feeling good about it. I got a game plan.
What do you got?
Jeremy, I got a plan. And that's why Cage T is very important. I got a plan. I've been working out in the cage down at the power plant. I'm not going to conceal my plan at this point in time. But I think I think quite a few people are going to be in for a shock.
So it's going to be for the World Heavyweight title, right?
Yes, sirree.
And you have been in this type of match one other time.
Yes, undefeated, 1-0 in the cage teeth.
You defeated Ric Flair.
Yes. In front of a sold-out Phillips Arena. you know, when we went off the air again last night, we did a little something with me, Booker, and Sting, and, you know, I got kicked in the head again from Booker.
Oh, my God.
And, I mean, I felt better. I'm not going to lie to you. But I also think that after this cage match, after the cage teat on Monday night, I mean, I've got to get out of the ring for a while because it's, I mean, I don't feel too good.
Of course, everything is going to be happening this Monday. The bikini contest, the tag team battle royal, 8 teams competing for the tag team belts. We'll have new tag team champions this Monday. And, of course, also the big cage team match. Now, Vince, we always like to ask you for the hot news.
Jeremy, something's coming.
What do you mean?
Something's coming.
Wait, are you getting a feeling?
I'm seeing something Monday night.
Bob, you there?
I'm here.
I'm seeing,
Wait a minute.
I'm seeing 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
I'm seeing 9 o'clock being the cage team match with me and Booker T.
Wait a minute. So that's 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Wait a minute. So that's like halfway through the program.
I'm seeing 9:45. Something much bigger.
Than your match?
Yes.
Something bigger than your match?
In Seg 11.
Title defense?
I see something much bigger. It's, I don't know. It's not clear. Maybe it's because of the concussions, but I'm seeing something much bigger at 9:45, closing the show.
So you're saying that the Booker Russo match will not be the main event?
Well, excuse me.
I'm sorry, will not be the final.
One of the main events.
Be one of 2 big main events.
I'm seeing a double main event. I'm seeing a double main event, and it's scary. It's scary what I'm seeing.
Really?
It's scary what I'm seeing.
Bob, what you're witnessing right now
Wow.
is the testimony of a visionary.
It just came to me.
Did you hear that?
Unreal.
Just came to me.
Did you say 9:45 there is going to be a second main event?
Yes.
So you're saying for the fans in New York, so it's going to be New York, main event,
How many days away?
5 days away.
Wait a minute, Jeremy.
Don't hurt yourself.
Yeah, a little strange. I see in that 9:45 match, I see the cage lowering again.
So wait.
2 cage matches
I
on
see
one
the
night?
cage lowering again, Jeremy.
Wow.
The participants are a little blurry. Maybe by the end of the show they'll come to me. Get the next call. Get the
If you just take it easy, all right? I don't want you getting hurt.
Jeremy.
Oh, wait. Bob?
I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't like what I'm seeing.
Hey, do you have a glass of water there?
I'm seeing an old nemesis. Oh no! I see trouble.
Wait a minute.
How
old is the nemesis?
I see an old nemesis getting in my way. I'm screaming.
This is like a psychic reading.
Somebody we haven't seen hasn't been in the picture. I don't. Okay, I had to get off that one. I had to get off
wait. Just.
I had to get off
on.
that one. I had to get off that one.
You lost it.
Yeah.
You lost it.
It's gone.
Yeah.
We close. We were.
Yeah.
I heard old.
Something about an old nemesis showing up and
somebody we haven't seen
trying to take my moment away. And
all right.
I don't want to.
Don't strain yourself.
Okay, Jimmy, I got a statement to make.
Wait a minute. Go ahead.
I'm begging Bill Goldberg to show up Monday night. How can I become the WCW champion with not in the presence of Goldberg? Now I want to send a plea out there.
Wait a minute. Real quick. Yes. Oh, you have a plea to send.
I know he resigned.
Right.
I read the letter of resignation on the air.
Right.
Okay, he's resigned. I'll accept that. Okay, but I personally I want to bury the hatchet. I'm inviting Bill Goldberg to come out to the Nassau Coliseum because I want Goldberg to enjoy Vince Russo his moment in the sun. It wouldn't be the same for me if Bill Goldberg were not there.
So what you're saying is that he apologized and really kind of put you over in the apology letter.
Yeah.
And the retirement letter that you had written.
Yes.
You're saying that you're, because of that, willing to put bygones aside, or bygones be bygones, let them be.
Yes.
And invite him to New York.
Yes. An open invitation for him to come to New York and just enjoy the crowning of the future of WCW.
Christine.
Hey, Jeremy,
I'm sorry.
I'm talking.
Go ahead.
I also want to say something else about this cage teat.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it right now. Okay?
I'm ready.
I'm going to say right now.
All right. Just take your time.
If Steiner, Nash, or Jarrett get involved in this steel cage match, disqualify my ass, I don't deserve to be the WCW champion.
Wow.
I'm going to do this on my own.
You don't need any help.
I'm going to do this on my own, and I'm going to tell them, and I've stated it here, you've got it for the record, if they interfere in that match, I lose. Let's talk about these natural-born thrillers.
Right.
Let's talk about them. Jindrak and O'Hara, I think these guys are unbelievable. I think Mike Sanders is unbelievable. Elix Skipper. Lance Storm, who is a veteran compared to these other guys. I mean, come on, Jeremy. I mean, you know, everybody's delivering, and nobody can say differently. You know, I mean, we booked a match on the fly Sunday night with 3 count and MIA on the pay-per-view. How good was that match? They just learned about it that night. I mean, you know, everybody's stepping up to the plate. I mean, because again, you know, if you're not keeping up, and if you're not pushing the envelope, you're not going to be out there. And I mean, it's, you know, man, it's just a tremendous effort on everybody's part right now. You know, Nash is playing hurt. Stein is playing hurt. Book is playing hurt. Goldberg's playing hurt. I mean, what else can you say? Sting is playing hurt. It's just, you know, I mean, it's just unbelievable, you know. We're doing everything right now. There's nothing we could be doing differently. Everything we're doing is right. The locker room is fixed. Everybody is on the same page. Everybody is on the same team. You know, that's why, you know, it's a shame with all the rumors of the company being sold and, you know, this and that, one coming in to take over, and Vince Russo going to be kicked out the door again next week, you know. I mean, I'm sick of hearing it. If it happens, it happens, and I don't really care. If it happens, it'll be a huge mistake, because since I've been here, and probably way before I was here, I'd say within the last 3 years, things have never been as right in WCW as they are right now. And if anything happens where anybody comes along and you know, they rain on the parade, you know, to me, it will be just one of the major tragedies in the history of this business.
Since you've got everything positioned where you want it, and the ratings have started to inch up. We had a 3.2 last week, a 2.8 this week. It's better than we had been doing before we went unopposed 2 weeks ago. Do you see anything that needs to be done to really make the next leap to the next level? We've got things in place. What do we need now to really break into?
Well, there's a couple of things. I mean, first of all, I mean, Bob, I'd love to do that big publicity stunt to put WCW on the map. And I've thrown a few suggestions out there, and I've thrown out suggestions that I think would go through the roof. But you know, that's something that, from a wrestling aspect, isn't my job. I mean, that's the office, that's marketing, that's PR. I've got to depend on other people to get these things done. I've thrown suggestions out there. I think that's what we need right now. As far as what I can do, we need to bring a certain number of talents up to that next level. You know, obviously the last guy we brought into up to that next level was Booker. I think we're ready for that next guy. I'd like to bring another 1 or 2 guys up to that top tier, and I think that time is coming soon. That's the machine. That's the machine. The office is the machine. You've got to get the machine behind the product. And that's what makes me laugh when, you know, horse-faced, buck-toothed, fat Kevin Kelly made the comment that Vince Russo took all the success of the WWF, which I've never stated, which was absolutely ludicrous, because a big part of the success of the WWF was the machine, was the office, getting behind it. Without that machine in place, you're only going to go so far. That's the bottom line. And, you know, like I said, the talent in the ring, what you see on TV, that's only going to take us so far. We got to get the machine behind it. Scott is out of my hands and in the hands of Brad Siegel. That's a call that I cannot make. I will say that I'd love to have him back. I might take him back in a heartbeat, but that's not in my hands.
How much preparation do you do for your matches?
Well, obviously you could see, obviously with the display with the Max Steel, You could see that it's hours and hours of training, meet down at the power plant. You know, I mean, you don't learn a leg drop like that overnight.
No.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of leg drops. But, you know, hey, what are you going to do? I'm an athlete.
You're an athlete.
You're what now?
Athlete.
I like the, well, first of all, I like the boot, because the boot was really the almost like the appetizer for the main course.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, keep in mind, gang, as you're listening to this, things may come to Vince Russo at any time.
How many stars did that match get?
Yours?
Yeah.
I haven't checked. Vince, Bob, are you there?
I am here.
We're gonna have to ask Madden. He'll probably know. All right, go ahead. What else we got?
Who's this?
It's Lori.
Lori, where are you calling from?
I'm in Greenville, Georgia. I called about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, boy.
Uh-oh.
Vince Russo's biggest fan.
Wait a minute. Are
you stalker?
Lori?
Yes, sir.
Lori, go ahead. Vince has not heard about you.
We haven't told him about you.
We told some authorities, but we've not told him.
Jeremy.
I'm kidding. Go ahead. Tell Vince.
What's your license plate?
Hi, Vince.
How you doing?
I'm fine.
Good.
I just want to tell you that I am your biggest fan. I think you are the sexiest, most handsome, talented man in WCW, in any wrestling. I had a shirt airbrushed in Florida when I went a few weeks ago. It says Vinnie Ru on it. I tape every appearance that you have on television.
Everyone?
Every single one. I've got like 5 or 6 tapes, everything from April the 10th until now.
Tell him about the
I have
license
recorded.
plate.
You're not done yet, are you?
I just want to tell him I think he's brilliant.
Hang on, Lori. You're not done yet.
Okay.
What else you got?
What do you mean? What else?
There's a little more in your collection.
License plate?
Well, the pictures that I get all the pictures off the internet of it.
Right.
And my tag.
All right. And what does your license plate say?
Russo.
Wow.
And you have the pictures where?
I don't have the picture with the candles around it, Bob.
Okay.
Wow. I'm taken back, Lori. I really am taken back.
Lori, what did you think? Let me ask you something honest, and as a woman, you can tell us. What were you feeling Monday night, or even going back to Sunday, when Vince removed his shirt?
I was on the floor in cardiac arrest.
Hey, don't tell us.
We don't know.
Don't go into detail, please. Whatever you're doing in your own place, your own home, is your own business.
I think he has. I mean, Vince, I think you are the sexiest man I've ever seen.
That's right, because I'm natural, Jeremy.
Right.
I'm all natural.
Right.
Let's call a spade a spade.
Right.
Okay?
I mean, your accent and everything, your attitude, your body, everything, you're just perfect.
Thank you very much, Well, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, anything else?
No, sir. Thank you so much.
It was nice talking to you, Lori.
The biggest moment in your life.
Is this the biggest moment in your life?
Yes, I can die now a happy woman.
Are you shaking?
Yes, I'm having to hold on to the table.
This is like when the Beatles came to America.
Yeah.
Talk about the people you're surrounding yourself with. Kevin Nash, who you mentioned is kind of putting off surgery, and I think is a big leader in the locker room, obviously, and has been. But what is he really bringing to the table right now? And you know, kind of tell us the story about him and what he's been going through the last couple of months.
Well, what isn't he bringing to the table? And you know what? That's why those other guys, the other...
Yes, bite me.
Bite me. Okay, I'm sorry. Take out the eat me. I won't say eat me again, all right? From now on, instead of eat me, I'll say bite me, all right? But you know what? You have no idea what Kevin Nash means to this company. And, I mean, again, if I had to pick one guy or I had to pick 3 guys, I mean, he would definitely be one of those guys because he's done everything we've asked of him. He's elevated guys. He's working with the younger guys. He's playing hurt. I mean, every single thing we've asked of this guy, he has done. And there is nothing in the world that I wouldn't do for Kevin Nash. And the bum raps that he gets, it's a joke. It's a joke. The reason Kevin Nash is in that locker room is because he is a leader. And everybody, the young kids, they all look up to Kevin Nash, and like I said, those that rip Kevin and criticize Kevin, they don't have a clue. Those are wannabes that wish they were in the locker room. Will never have the opportunity to be on this side of the business because they're total marks for what we do. And again, it's just it's just.
Hey guys, is Vince okay? Hey, he's banged up, Tony. He's kind of limping around. They just got him off the stretcher, but he looks like he's a little sore. Okay, I'll let you back. Thanks, Tony. Goodbye, Tony.
At the end of the show, man, on TV, it looked nasty.
Yeah, well, he hit his head on the back of the rail there.
It was a nasty bump.
Yeah, you say what you want to about Vince Russo, and you know, he may not be a wrestler, but he went out and he did something a lot of people wouldn't do, and that's letting Goldberg literally drive him through that cage and into the side of the ring barricade. It was a really gruesome looking thing when you look at the replay.
Hello.
Hello.
This is Mrs. Russo, Vin's mom.
Yes.
I just want to know, is he all right?
He's doing fine.
Would you give him a message from me?
Yeah. Okay.
Would you just tell him his father and I have both decided that we're going to take him to a psychiatrist?
Yes, somebody needs to.
I mean, I don't understand him. I really don't.
How are the kids? Are they okay?
I'm not, this isn't his wife, this is his mother. I'm calling from Florida.
All right. Are you serious?
Tell him that he made us a nervous wreck, both his mother and father.
And what is your first name?
I don't want to give it in case anybody else tries to give it. Tell him Terry Bear.
Who?
Terry Bear.
Terry Bear.
Yeah, he used to call me back. He used to call me there when we had the video store.
Okay.
All right?
Are you serious?
Tell him when I grab a hold of him, he's going to have a worse beating than he did tonight.
Okay, we will definitely deliver that message.
Please do that. This is really his mother. I'm not kidding.
I'm starting to believe it.
Wait a minute. You want to talk to your son?
Yes, I would love to talk to my son.
All right, hang on a second, okay? Let me, if you, Chad?
We're gonna go verify this and see if we can put something together here. A magical moment possibly about to happen on WCW Live.
Is this Vinnie Russo on the line?
No, this is apparently Vince's mother.
For real?
Apparently.
Hello, Mrs. Russo.
Who's this?
That's Chad Damiani.
I'm Chad Damiani, one of the underlings in your son's employ.
Well, we're just so worried about him that I didn't want to call his wife because I figured I would upset her, and the best thing would be to call you people. Is he all right?
If you're Vince's mother, what's his father's name?
His father's name?
Yeah.
James, and my name is Terry.
Wow.
Wait a minute.
Okay?
I'm from the Ashes. I have risen,
Tell him.
Wait a minute, hang on, Chad.
Wait a minute, hang on. Wait.
Ma'am, we've got a problem here. Hang on, 1 second. Get back here. Would you please say just one word?
What do you want?
I just want to see how you are so bad.
Dead.
I know you're dead. Daddy's in bed. Daddy won't even get up.
Come on, Vinny.
He just left.
Oh. I can't believe him.
This is really Vince's mom.
He's not feeling real well.
He's not feeling good.
If I had him, I would just kill him.
All right, well, he's
This is really his
I know.
No, we've verified that. I want to reassure you, Mrs. Russo. He's doing okay. He's gonna probably go get some rest, but I'm sure he'll call you.
Oh, are you kidding? That's why I'm calling there to find out, because I know
He's fine.
No, he's fine.
He wouldn't call. Okay, I'm speaking to Bob and Jeremy.
Absolutely.
Okay, I know you guys will take care of him.
We're going to do our best. This is one of the favorite moments I've ever had on this program.
Do you think I look good out there as your son's right-hand man out there? Did I do all right?
Yes, you did fine. You did fine.
Okay.
But I just wish somebody would talk sense into him.
Right.
Well, we're going to do our best.
All right, thank you, dear.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for calling.
Unbelievable.
Incredible.
That was a shoot.
That'll never, ever happen again.
No. And he was hot about it, but I dragged him in here.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
We're in San Francisco right now. Jeremy and myself, we are working on these shows for Australia. Nitro is already complete. Thunder is half complete. When we get done with Thunder, we will go on to the following week's Nitro and Thunder. Non-stop action. I am laying in my bed much like my hero, John Lennon. There is no Yoko Ono besides me, fortunately for me. But I'm laying here in the bed conducting this interview. And Jeremy, how long am I supposed to go on talking to myself like this?
I'm almost off the phone with
blow him off,
I can't blow off.
Blow him off.
From
So
accounting,
what
please.
cares?
I'm on the air right now. I'm talking to Glenn. Glenn?
Anyway, Jeremy is talking to Glenn from accounting. I told him to blow him off. He won't listen to me. That's why he is a stooge. That's why he always will be a stooge. I just gave him an order he did not follow. But as I said, we wrote Nitro today for the first show in Australia. I think it's an excellent show from top to bottom.
We're in a big hotel here in San Francisco. I am sitting at a desk with the radio equipment that is carried around WCW Live on the road. I'm sitting in front of the laptop watching the computer, watching the chat room comments come in, and Vince Russo is currently, you are laying in bed.
Very John Lennon-ish. Do you think Vince McMahon ever conducted an interview like this?
No.
See, that's because I'm a real genius. Real geniuses conduct interviews like this. Remember Lennon?
Right, I remember
Lennon in '69. This is Russo in 2000, baby, right here in the bed.
Wow.
There is nobody out there who tonight is going to rain on my parade. Jeremy, the ratings, I don't give a damn. Mandalay, I don't give a damn. Hulk Hogan, I don't give a damn. Vince Russo losing his job next week, I don't give a damn. And Jeremy, let me explain to you why. Ask me why.
I'm very curious.
Jeremy, since I was a 6-year-old kid growing up on Long Island, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I was an avid fan of the San Francisco Giants. Reason being, my father grew up a New York Giant fan.
New York Giants.
So when they moved from New York to the Bay Area, my father didn't jump off ship. He remained loyal to the San Francisco Giants.
Right.
I've been a Giant fan since I'm 6 years old. Screw the gimmick. Screw the Mets. Screw the Yankees.
Yeah, but I'm wearing my Yankee shirt.
I'm sorry. That's TV.
Oh.
I am a Giant fan. I bleed black and orange, Jeremy.
Okay.
And tomorrow, the playoffs begin, Jeremy. And tomorrow, me and my number one stooge, Jeremy Borash, will be sitting right in Pac-Bell Park. Tomorrow, playoff game number one against the New York Mets. You think I care about Mandalay? You think I care about, who's that kid on the Wonder Years?
Jason
Herpy? You think I care about Jason Herpy? You think I care about Eric Bischoff? I could give a damn. I've got Giant playoffs tomorrow. You understand, Jeremy? Nobody is going to rain on my parade tonight. Nothing.
There's nothing that can happen.
Nothing. Ratings 2.7, 1.7, 0.7. I don't care. I got a game I got to start worrying about.
You've got a game.
It's all about priorities.
Tonight, it's all focused on tomorrow.
Yes.
So for me, we got a lot of questions here.
Let's go.
All right. Will Ming be back on TV?
You know, that's an interesting question that, everybody, saying that, Barry Bonds is going to be the MVP.
Right.
I got to be honest with you. I really believe, I believe Jeff Kent is the MVP of the National League this year. As much as I love Barry Bonds, 3-time MVP, a lot of people say he's going to win it for the 4th time. But quite frankly, in my opinion, Jeff Kent is this year's National League MVP. Next question.
Okay. Here, Banks in the chat room wants to know, what is WCW doing to take care of the leaks that are leaking info to the sheet?
That's a real good question. Who asked that, Links?
Banks.
Banks. I'm very glad that Banks asked that question.
Could you address that, please?
Yeah, because, a lot of people, say that the Giants have problems with left-handed pitching. So the Mets are going to throw Mike Hampton in Game 1, Al Leiter in Game 2. Well, let me explain something to you, Jeremy. The Giants have such problems with left-handed pitching that I believe they scored 8 runs off of Randy Johnson in 2 1/3 of an inning on Sunday. Now, the last time I looked, Randy Johnson was a southpaw and does indeed throw with the left hand. So I'm not too concerned about the left-handed theory that the Giants can't hit left-handers. Next question.
This is from M&M. Hi, Jeremy. Can you ask Vince if he thinks Team Canada will get over his heels in Australia? Good question.
Speaking of Team Canada, it is very important in the playoffs to have the home field advantage. You see, winning the division wasn't enough for the Giants this year. They had to have the best record in the league. Not only the National League, Jeremy, the National League and American League. That gives them home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And tomorrow, Jeremy, as we sit in Pacific Bell, you are going to find out what the home field advantage is all about.
This one from the new Yellow Dog. Who will win the World Series?
Giants.
Okay. My question for Vince, this is from Chris 2. My question for Vince Russo is, at the 1999 King of the Ring, Who was the first man that raised the briefcase since he was the booker for the WWF at the time?
That's a very good question. And, you know, the Giants, it's true, they do have playoff experience. Levon Hernandez, who is starting tomorrow for the Giants, let's not forget the job that Levon Hernandez did with the Florida Marlins in 1997. He is one of the most, this is the guy that rises up to the occasion. This is the guy that pitches under pressure. This is why they went out and they got a Levon Hernandez. So as far as playoff experience, that doesn't concern me in the least.
Another question coming in. Vince, where is Dustin Rhodes?
Dustin Rhodes. You know, it's interesting that they ask about Dustin Rhodes because, you know, a lot of people knock Barry Bonds because of his average in the playoffs, okay? And, you know, the bottom line is, you know, Barry Bonds is he's a cornerstone of the San Francisco Giants. When the opposing pitchers and the opposing teams are playing the Giants, Barry Bonds is the guy that you don't let beat you. Therefore, all focus is on Barry Bonds. So if the guy is batting 200 in his playoff career, you know, let's look at the reasons why. However, that was then and this is now. And, Jeremy, I firmly believe that in the year 2000, Bonds is going to step up to the plate in the playoffs.
Who is going to be GTV?
GTV.
Yeah, GTV.
GTV.
I guess that was something in the WWF Europe.
That's an interesting question, Jeremy. GTV. You know, a lot of people say, all right, maybe the Mets will win one game in this series. Maybe it'll go 4 games. But the way I see it, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a clean sweep. I think Wednesday, Thursday, we beat them at Pac Bell. The game that I mentioned, you and I will be at both games. Not just tomorrow, we'll be at both games.
We're going to both games.
And in New York, I mean, the Mets are going to go down they're going to be down 2-0. They're going to go into New York, Shea Stadium, a beaten team. I see it as a clean sweep.
Well, I wanted to, let's talk about work rate.
Okay.
What is your take on the work rate right now?
Well, there's no question. You don't become the best team in the major leagues by not working hard. Well, what work rate? You got a Gold Glover in J.T. Snow. You got a Gold Glover in Billy Miller at third base, who'll probably win his first Gold Glove this year. Let's talk up the middle. Richie Aurelia, Jeffy Kent at second base. You want to talk about work rate? Come on, Jeremy.
Good question here from TNO. When the Big Show was in the WCW, he was called the Giant. Did you like him because of his affiliation with the name?
You know, it's funny because that, you know, ever since he broke into the league, a lot of people have been comparing Barry Bonds to Willie Mays. And that's really, it's not a fair comparison because, let's face it, Jeremy, the Say Hey Kid, there never was and will never be another like him. In my opinion, the greatest player in the history of the sport. To compare Barry Bonds to him, who is his godson, by the way, is just unfair. It would be like comparing me to God. You can't make that comparison. I mean, give me a break.
No comparison.
Well, the booking God, maybe, but God, you know. Let me talk about last night's Nitro for a minute.
We got him on it. Okay, go ahead.
Let's talk about many things that you saw first in the history of sports entertainment. Let's talk about the Popemobile.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Vince McMahon's idea? I don't think so. First time you saw it, the Popemobile. Let's talk about the match between Jeff Jarrett and Booker T with the 4 boxes. Let's talk about the blow-up doll in the box. Let's talk about Scott Steiner giving a Steiner recliner to a mutant. Let's talk about that, Jeremy. Okay? Ratings. Original programming. Okay? Never been done before in the history of this sport. That's what WCW is all about.
One question coming in. How did you get in the back of the Popemobile, being it was hermetically sealed?
Does, who's that guy with the hot girlfriend model? Does he give away his secrets?
David Copperfield?
Does he? No, that's Charles Dickens.
Charles Dickens?
Yeah, that's a story with Charles Dickens. The other guy with the hot thing, with the hot chick.
Lance Burton?
No, David Copperfield.
That's what I just said.
Does he give away his secrets?
No.
Okay, exactly.
All right, I'm not going to get it out of here. Are we going to see the Popemobile again?
I hope so. I love the Popemobile.
I couldn't believe that you were actually driving that around or making me drive you around in that yesterday afternoon.
I have no problem with that.
This morning we went to Denny's and I had to drive you to that.
There's no reason why I shouldn't be put up on a pedestal for what I've done for this business. No reason whatsoever.
Vince, will you ever put Jeremy in a match? And if you had to pick an opponent, who would it be for him? He wouldn't do that.
That's ratings, Jeremy. I think people will pay money to see, in the very near future, I think people will pay money to see you get your ass kicked. And when they ask me that question, immediately I have a picture of Jeremy Borash in a ring with Beetlejuice.
No!
Well, that's what I see. I'm a visionary. That's what I saw. They asked the question, that's the first thing I saw.
Well, that's how the creative process works.
And that's ratings right there. Jeremy Borash and Beetlejuice, I'm watching that.
Nothing more to add to this.
No, Beetlejuice rocks.
Whole Howard Stern Whack Pack gang.
They're ratings.
Yeah, they're
ratings. You know, that's what people like to. People like to see things that are out of the norm, and I think Beetlejuice is definitely out of the norm. And people like to see things that are different. People like to see things that are entertaining. And quite frankly, I find the little guy to be very entertaining.
You think we'll see him again?
I hope so.
Yeah? In what capacity would you say that we'd see him again?
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe Beetlejuice will be working a match for us in the near future.
Oh, you're kidding me. Well, I can only look forward to something like that in the near future. Beetlejuice in the match. Now, who would you think would be a good opponent for him?
I don't know. Maybe you, Jeremy.
No.
Maybe Tenay.
Tenay would be good. I can't wait
to see the Tenay Beetlejuice interview. How about that?
Oh, we're not going to see that, are we? Tell me we're not going to see Tenay and Beetlejuice.
I'd love to see that. You should be proud to be my stooge. You know how many people out there, I am and you right now, would stand in line to be my stooge and to be on TV every single week? I'm making you a star, Jeremy, damn it.
I realize that.
Okay,
but I'm just saying, I've got feelings.
What, you want more now?
No.
Well, what are you now? Are you the Harris boys now who begged me for a job and had a problem doing a job for Goldberg last night? 3 months ago, these guys are on the phone crying, looking for a job. I give them a job. Last night, they're crying because Goldberg beats them. Is that what you want now?
No.
Is that the thanks I get?
I think I'm just misunderstood.
Very misunderstood. I put you on television for crying out loud.
But
who else would put you on television? What do you bring to the table? I got a question I want to ask.
What?
How the hell is Striptease on TNT at 8 o'clock at night?
What are you talking about?
Striptease, the movie with Demi Moore. She's a stripper. It is on TNT at 8 o'clock at night. Why? What happened to the family morals and values that I must abide to every Monday night? I guess they only apply on Monday night? They get thrown out the window, what's say, Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it now. No problem. Go ahead, what else you got for me?
Striptease is on right now?
Right now. Right now.
Demi Moore.
Right now, kids. TNT, Striptease. Watch it. Don't miss it.
Where a woman gets on stage several times in the movie and
takes her clothes off. 8 o'clock at night. Yeah, the kids are in bed. Okay, what else we got, Jeremy? What else we got? Look at this, Jeremy. Look what's on TV right this minute we're watching. You know what this is a commercial for?
What is that?
Look.
That's a commercial for there's like a man running with a football.
Yes.
There's a man catching a football.
Right.
There's the XFL.
Because.
What?
Forget the fact that the NFL has been in business for 1,000 years.
Right.
Forget the fact that every Sunday it's like going to church. Sitting down watching the New York Giants, New York Jets.
Right.
Okay? It's a holy day.
Right.
Forget the history of the National Football League. Vince McMahon and the XFL are going to kill the NFL. And do you know why?
Why?
Because Vince McMahon says so. Next question.
So we've got Jeff and Sting.
Right.
We've got Booker and Steiner.
Right.
Can you tell us maybe what we're going to be doing with Goldberg?
We've got Goldberg and Kronik. That match was made tonight as well.
Goldberg and Kronik.
Absolutely.
Handicap match.
The first man to sell loses the match. That should be interesting.
It's a new stipulation we've never seen before.
Absolutely.
The first man to sell a move will lose the match.
Yes.
Between Kronik and Goldberg.
That's my prediction.
Can you make a prediction?
I want to see how long these three can go without somebody selling. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Walking to the arena. Who is that next to him?
I think it's, whatchamacallit.
Who?
Isn't that the guy that used to be with Mortis?
James Vandenberg?
No,
it's not James Vandenberg.
I thought maybe they signed him and they didn't tell me. I don't know.
And there, of course, is the lovely, as we're watching Thunder now, the lovely Leia Meow.
and the Young
Is
Dragon.
that Terry Taylor under the hood?
That is not. That would be Jamie Son
Oh,
under
okay.
the hood.
I'm sorry. I got
Certainly,
confused there for a second.
they.
I saw Layer. I thought I saw Terry under the
There's
hood.
certainly a 6-man tag team match awaiting here, I'm sure, with the Young Dragons, Jamie Son, of course. And,
Why does this kid wear this ridiculous mask? Can somebody tell him to lose the mask?
he's not. He's.
He's what? He's American?
Yeah.
So then why is he with the Young Dragons?
All right, Scott Steiner coming out now. We're watching Scott Steiner.
You could tell that wasn't my gimmick. What now?
What?
You could tell. Scott Steiner. You see, now this gimmick has Vince Russo written all over it. Look at this guy. That right there is a star. Scott Steiner is the future of WCW. Look at this guy. What doesn't he have? He's got the body. He's got the gift of gab. He can work. He can do it all. He plays injured. That's the man right there, Scott Steiner.
He plays what?
Injured.
Oh.
Injured.
Okay.
Broken orbital socket. Scott Steiner was supposed to not do anything for 8 weeks and didn't tell anybody because he didn't want to miss a week of work. How about that?
So what? The doctor said stay out of the ring. He
For
came
8 weeks. He was back on Nitro the next Monday. How about that?
And that, of course, was that.
It had nothing to do with him not wanting to get his pay cut.
Right.
It had to do with him being a gutsy performer.
He's the kind of guy that would have a tough time doing anything else, I think. But this
Yeah, absolutely.
and he looks like a star.
He is a star.
He's got the head.
And that's the difference too, you know, Jeremy. It's like, and I tell you this a lot. It's the way you carry yourself. Scott Steiner believes that he is a star, and he carries himself like a star. And what you see coming across on your television screen is the confidence right there. Unbelievable.
Now,
like when Ellis Burks stepped up to the plate today.
What happened then?
The confidence in Ellie Burks.
Right.
3-run ding dong, game over.
Off the foul ball.
Yeah. Is this Batman under the hood or what?
No, it's Jamie.
Oh, okay.
Jamie under the hood, I think. Now, of course, Scott Steiner in the ring now with the Young Dragons. 25 days away.
Well, I
from
wonder who's going to win this match.
Well, it could be a close.
You sure that's not Terry Taylor under the
I'm
hood?
positive that's not Terry Taylor under the hood. By the way, what was it like beating the Red Rooster?
No problem, man. He was laying flat on his back in a booking meeting. I hooked the leg. 1, 2, 3. I didn't even know what hit him.
All right, now we've got Yang of the Young Dragons trying to.
Oh my God!
Just clothesline by Scott Steiner, and I think Scott may have taken the poor man's head off.
This is going to be ugly right here.
Oh boy!
Look at this.
Scott Steiner,
That's
full gorilla press slam.
Look at this.
And to the floor.
Jeez.
Oh, jeez. Wow, what a massacre.
Right, the Lone Ranger's in there now.
All right, we've got Jamie Son doing a little play-by-play here for you.
Oh! My God. Can you imagine legitimately being on this guy's shit list? You could be the shit later on. I won't say shit again. But can you imagine being on his bad side, Jeremy? His first shoot. Can you imagine if Scott Steiner really did not like you?
Why do you do that to me?
What?
You know you can't say that on the show.
Can you imagine if Scott Steiner...
No,
my God.
No.
He's going to kill somebody in there.
Vince. All right.
Is this show live?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Can't do that. Anyway.
I didn't need to say shit.
I'm turning your mic off now.
Okay,
You're done.
I'm sorry.
You're done.
No, I won't say it again.
You're done.
He's doing push-ups.
All right.
You think the Lone Ranger's going to make what do you think the odds of him making a big comeback here? Not good,
Get some heat on him. Get some fire, some of that Tommy Wildfire Rich fire coming back.
Look at this.
Oh, boy.
My God. Oh, my God. Who booked this?
I think you, Vince, did. I think you,
sorry.
Vince did.
I guess I did for my own personal enjoyment.
All right.
This is brutal. This is brutal. Look at this.
Now, describe
what
what's
is
going
this now?
This is going to be a...
oh, my God. This is...
he's got
oh, my... No! Please! Oh, my God. Look away. Oh! Woo!
There you have it.
My God.
All right. Well, Scott Steiner... Medea's getting involved now.
Oh, wait a minute. Cat fight.
Cat fight. This is... we're watching Thunder.
Oh!
In case you're just tuning in. Medea now being choked by
Look at this. Look
Leia
at this.
Meow.
Double Steiner recliner. I've never seen that before. Have you?
I never have. And Jamie Son and the...
he is awesome.
And
awesome.
Before you started writing in the WWF, what was the worst gimmick that you had because you started working there while some other people were still writing?
Right.
And you mentioned on the show before that there were some things going on that you didn't really like.
as far as the programming.
Well, and this is good because I'm going to ask you a question after this. Some of the gimmicks they had going on at the time that were just horrendous were Who? Remember Who? Who?
That was a Jim Neidhart under a hood.
Right.
And why did they call him Who?
To humiliate him.
But they think that was a play on words, like who's in the ring? Like who's on third?
No. Do you know Who was really supposed to be?
Who?
Did you see what colors Who dressed in? Seriously.
It was a hood, and no, I don't remember.
Red and yellow. They were supposed to be ripping Hulk Hogan. Seriously. That's what Who was supposed to be. That's why his hood and stuff was red and yellow. I swear to God. At the time he had...
There was going to be another one coming along, though,
Yeah,
right?
what? His tag team partner, what? The plans were on the drawing board, I swear. The Goon was in there in the mix back then. T.L. Hopper was in the mix back then. Let's not forget, and he probably would have broke roof given the time, Freddie Joe Floyd.
What happened to him?
Please, you tell me. We'll both know. And I got to tell you, with all due respect, because I do love the guy like a brother.
Right.
How bad was the Red Rooster?
I hold my head in shame.
How bad?
Yes,
how bad was that gimmick?
I hold my head in shame just the fact I know him and work with him very close.
You know why Jim Ross has a job with the WWF? Because Vince McMahon likes to have somebody to laugh at, and that's the truth. Okay? It's real simple. That's why.
Wow.
You know what it's like, and I tell you this all the time. Why do I keep Disco in the booking meetings?
Why do you keep Disco in the booking?
Because I get a kick out of him. He entertains me. He makes me laugh. That's why Vince McMahon keeps Jim Ross around, but Jim Ross isn't doing it intentionally.
Right.
Disco's doing it intentionally. Disco's trying to make me laugh. And I don't laugh at Disco, I laugh with Disco. Vince laughs at Jim Ross. Do you know that idiot walks around airports wearing that cowboy hat? That's sad. There's something wrong with that. I'm serious. There is something. That's like, Jeremy, me and you today going to Pac Bell and you driving me there in a Popemobile. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. This guy walks around real life wearing a cowboy hat. What is wrong with that picture?
Ladies and gentlemen, Vince Russo here on the WCW Live program.